Chapter 1743. We're in trouble. These dragons, school of vertical and horizontal, and legalism have surrounded us. The mysterious Drake King looked around, his eyes filled with coldness. He had obtained an ancient inheritance and was no longer the same as before. Some of these dragons, school of vertical and horizontal, and legalism are no longer suppressed. Something has happened in the divine domain. The laughing Rakshasa, Tang Miling, narrowed her eyes. What worried her the most was the fact that many of the older members of the various great powers had entered the divine domain. Their cultivation bases were no longer suppressed by the divine domain, and the laughing Rakshasa and Tang Miling were unable to fight back. How strange. These legalism, school of vertical and horizontal, and dragons can completely suppress us. Why haven't they made a move yet? Ji Jian's beautiful eyes moved, feeling strange. At this moment, whether it was in terms of numbers or strength, the school of vertical and horizontal, legalism, and dragons could suppress them, but they had not made a move yet. They must have a purpose. Ghost Child spoke, his back against Tao Yu and the others. His eyes were filled with coldness and killing intent. Don't be too nervous. At most, we'll fight with our lives. We still have a life-saving talisman on us, but not many of them have one. Dr. Wuming said. He looked at the dragons, legalists, and school of vertical and horizontal surrounding them. His grey robes fluttered in the wind. Wuming, you have nowhere to run. Surrender. On the cliff, figures flashed, and several middle-aged and old leaders flew out, looking down at Wuming, the mysterious Drake King, and the others. Their auras fluctuated, bringing with them a pressure that spread out in all directions of the valley. You want us to surrender? I'm afraid you don't have the qualifications. Legalism, school of vertical and horizontal, and dragons, you might be able to scare others, but in front of the desolate country, it's not enough. Wuming coldly stared at the leaders. They were the leaders of the dragons, the school of vertical and horizontal, and the school of legalism. With a life-saving talisman, Wuming was not afraid. Wuming, your medical skills are not weak. Why don't you follow my legalism? It's better than staying in the small desolate country. An old man in his 50s looked at Wuming and said. He had heard of Wuming's name from his subordinates and wanted to rope him in. More importantly, Wuming's status in the desolate country was not low. If he were to follow legalism, it would be equivalent to slapping Du Xiaofu in the face. Do you think the desolate country is small? I, the Rock Emperor of the desolate country, have killed the so-called top experts of your legalism, dragons, and school of vertical and horizontal, like slaughtering dogs. If I, the Rock Emperor, were here today, would you still dare to be so arrogant? Wuming sneered at the old man in his 50s from legalism, but his heart sank. Today was not going to end well, and he had to prepare for the worst. Bastard, you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Hearing this, the old man in his 50s from legalism looked gloomy. He glared at Wuming, coldness shooting out from his eyes. Let's not make a move now. Let's wait for the other elders to arrive. We must try to capture these people alive. If they die, their life-saving talismans will be useless. When the experts from our three factions arrive, these people won't even have the chance to self-destruct, a middle-aged man from Dragons said to the old man in his 50s from legalism. Humph. The old man in his 50s from legalism was filled with killing intent, but the aura surging out from his body stopped. They didn't dare to act rashly under orders from above. They seemed to be waiting for something. Ji Jian said with her brows knitted. She felt that the dragons, legalism, and others had a goal. Otherwise, they would have made a move long ago. The laughing Rakshasa's beautiful eyes swept across the 100 figures in the surroundings. Her body was covered in light, accentuating her exquisite curves. She said, if I'm not wrong, they're probably waiting for more experts to arrive. They want to completely suppress us so that we won't even have the chance to use our life-saving talismans. You're right. It seems like we can only fight head-on. If this drags on, it won't be good for us. Yi Wuming took a deep breath. He agreed with the laughing Rakshasa and Tang Miling's guess. He also sensed the legalism's goal of trapping them. Let's fight. We have our life-saving talismans anyway. If we wait for more experts to arrive, we'll be in big trouble. The mysterious Serpent King said with a deep voice. He was not afraid with his life-saving talismans. If they waited for more experts from legalism, dragons, and the others to arrive, they would be in real trouble. By then, it was extremely likely that they wouldn't even have the chance to use their life-saving talismans. Let's fight. Every kill is a win. Ji Jian bit her lips tightly as she clenched her fists. After all these years of training, she was no longer the same as before. Then let's do it. Yi Wuming's grey clothes fluttered as his aura surged. A soaring aura suddenly surged out from his body as he took the lead. He seemed to have turned into a grey bolt of lightning as he charged towards the nearest person from the three organizations with a powerful soul attack. Kill! Gue Hua, the mysterious Serpent King, Tao Yu, Tang Miling, Ji Jian, and several dozen others followed in an instant. Streaks of beautiful talismans and secret inscriptions surged out. They all used their full strength, shining with dazzling light. They were prepared to fight to the death. They're just going to fight to the death. Stop them. Seeing Yi Wuming, Tang Miling, and the others' actions, the faces of the leaders above immediately sank. They sneered as their figures flashed out, immediately pouncing towards Yi Wuming and the others. You overestimate yourselves. Kill! Roar! In an instant, over 100 figures from the three organizations pounced out. Beasts roared like thunder. Serpents soared into the sky and strange beasts appeared. Accompanied by the terrifying pressure of the three organizations, they quickly clashed with Yi Wuming and the others. Let's fight to the death. The mysterious Serpent King and the others also transformed into their original forms and pounced out with the people from the desolate kingdom. Bang, 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 in an instant, the muffled sounds were like thunder. In the blink of an eye, there were miserable cries. Dao artifacts and magical artifacts flew out as their meridians and spirits roared. Yi Wuming, you're still too weak in front of this old man. The old man from the legalism sect appeared in front of Yi Wuming. He stared at Yi Wuming and shot out a torrent of energy, directly pushing Yi Wuming back with great momentum. Thump, thump, Yi Wuming was pushed back, energy ripples surging. His Yuan spirit attack was not very effective. His opponent was a sealed domain realm cultivator, much stronger than him. Moreover, he was an elder from the legalism sect, so he could easily suppress him. Pfff, steadying himself, Yi Wuming spat a trace of blood from the corner of his mouth. However, there was a sinister chill in the depths of his eyes. A cold smile hung on his aged face, revealing a hint of ruthlessness. He, Yi Wuming, had never been someone to be provoked. Pfff, almost at the same time, Tang Miling and Ji Jian fell from the sky, scraping the ground and shattering boulders. Blood dripped from their red lips. Roar! The mysterious Flood Dragon King was also pushed back by one of the dragons. Although it did not fall from the sky, its huge body twisted and its mouth spat out blood. A bunch of ants who don't know their own strength. The old man from the legalism sect continued to charge at Yi Wuming, his posture arrogant and condescending. He didn't put Yi Wuming in his eyes at all. His cold voice accompanied his figure as he swooped down and stretched out his hand, sending out a palm strike with great momentum that distorted the void, not giving Yi Wuming any chance to escape. As the palm struck, Yi Wuming's eyes widened and a vast aura crushed the void, imprisoning everything. Let's die together. Yi Wuming sneered. At this point, there was no other choice but to self-detonate. You want to self-detonate? It's not that easy. If I can't kill everyone, I can at least kill you. As the ear-piercing laughter rang out, a strange figure appeared. It was the leader of the school of vertical and horizontal. He appeared behind Yi Wuming like a bolt of lightning, his claw already reaching out to Yi Wuming's shoulder. He had already discussed with the old man from the legalism sect about joining forces to capture Yi Wuming alive. The claw was as fast as lightning, reaching Yi Wuming's shoulder in the blink of an eye. It looked like it would imprison Yi Wuming. However, at this critical moment, a golden beam of energy shot out of the void and slammed into the claw on Yi Wuming's shoulder. Ah! In the blink of an eye, the sealed domain realm old man from the house of vertical and horizontal let out a miserable shriek as a bloody hole appeared on the back of his claw. At the same time, a purple figure appeared in front of Yi Wuming. It stretched out a hand, and a golden beam of light shot out and landed in the palm of the old man from the legalism sect. Ah! The old man from the legalism sect let out a blood-curdling scream as a bloody hole appeared on his palm. Blood spurted out and his flesh was torn apart. His figure was sent flying as if he had been struck by lightning. Chapter 1744. But at the same time, the purple figure moved like lightning. Compared to the 50-year-old man from legalism, his speed was much faster. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the old man by the neck like an eagle grabbing a chick. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. Dust filled the air. The sudden change of events stunned Ghost Child, Tang Meiling, Ji Jian, the mysterious Dragon King, and the others. Master Apothecary Yi Wuming was about to self-destruct and he suddenly saw the figure in front of him. He was startled and immediately became overjoyed. President. Brother Xiaofu. In an instant, the disciples of the desolate nation exclaimed. They could not help but be surprised. If the figure was not Du Xiaofu, who else could it be? When the disciples of legalism, school of vertical and horizontal, and dragons heard the surprised cries of the desolate nation's disciples, it was like thunder to them. They all trembled for no reason. Du Xiaofu, it's Du Xiaofu. Oh no, it's the Demon King, Du Xiaofu. Shock, shock, and fear. The people of the three forces immediately recognized Du Xiaofu. Their faces were filled with horror. Du Young Fu, the 50-year-old man from legalism, who was grabbed by the neck by Du Xiaofu like an eagle grabbing a chick, stared at the man in front of him. He had seen him in legalism before. Above the divine region, Du Xiaofu had killed Qin Wudi, Han Qianran, Han Ningma, and the others. At this moment his heart and soul were trembling, but his body was imprisoned. Only the depths of his eyes were filled with fear. Kill, leave no one alive. Du Xiaofu said, but he did not attack. He waved his hand and changed it from a claw to a palm. A white light swept out and directly detained the head of the 50-year-old man from legalism. Kill, three figures appeared in the void. Three monstrous killing intent swept through the valley. Green light exploded, thunder and lightning swept, and flames burned. Bang, 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 it was too fast, so fast that no one could see it clearly. They could only see three silhouettes breaking through the sky. Then, the legalism, dragons, and school of vertical and horizontal members were directly blasted into pieces with a muffled sound. There was no lack of martial domain stage cultivators among the three great factions, as well as the dragons and a sealed domain stage cultivator from the school of vertical and horizontal. However, they were unable to put up a fight against the three blurry figures. The figures of the disciples of the three great powers exploded one after another, turning into a bloody mist. They were being slaughtered. Ah, legalism's 50-year-old man was screaming miserably. His face was twitching and white foam was coming out of his mouth. It was as if he was enduring the most miserable torture. In the void, a beautiful woman quietly appeared. Her figure was proud and curvaceous. She was not affected by the killing around her. Her rainbow-like eyes were calm. Then, she stood not far away from Du Xiaofu, seemingly interested in the means that Du Xiaofu was using. In less than half a minute, more than 100 disciples and experts of the three great factions were completely annihilated. The murderous aura in the surrounding valley filled the sky. A bloody mist dyed the eerie white bones on the ground red. Three figures appeared clearly. One was a man in green robes, the other was a middle-aged man and a beautiful woman. They were Sky Wolf Mo Tian Shao, Thunderhawk King, and Mia Meng King. At this moment, the three of them were all at the Nirvana realm. Although the people from the three great powers were all experts from large clans, they would not be a match for Heavenly Wolf Mo Tian Shao and the other two even if they were at the same realm. Moreover, there was a difference of several heavenly layers between them. The disciples of the three great factions did not even have the chance to self-detonate their primordial spirits. They were all killed by Sky Wolf Mo Tian Shao, Thunderhawk King, and Mia Meng King. It's him, Sky Wolf Mo Tian Shao. When he saw Sky Wolf Mo Tian Shao, Yi Wuming, Ghost Child, Tang Meiling, Ji Jian, Mysterious Dragon King, and the others, he had seen them in the Supreme Tomb Square. That was a terrifying master. It was rumored that he was a terrifying existence that had sealed himself for thousands of years. He had even fought with Du Xiaofu before. He immediately became vigilant. After a while, a golden light surged out from Du Xiaofu's palm. Bang! The face of the old man in legalism twitched as despair surged out from his eyes. He seemed to want to say something, but his body exploded into a bloody mist. You really want me to die? Du Xiaofu muttered softly as a smile appeared on his face. However, anyone could see that this smile contained a terrifying killing intent. From the primordial spirit of the old man in legalism, Du Xiaofu used the soul-searching technique and found out that the three great factions, legalism, school of vertical and horizontal, and dragons, had sent many elders and experts into the divine domain. The true leaders were a few peak greater domain experts. Even before the supreme tomb had opened, Du Xiaofu didn't care about a few peak greater domain realm cultivators. Qin Wudi and the others were many times stronger than peak great domain realm cultivators. What Du Xiaofu cared about was that from the primordial spirit of the old man, he found out that the legalism, dragons, and school of vertical and horizontal seemed to have arranged some method to kill him completely. That method made the three great factions, legalism, school of vertical and horizontal, and dragons, swear that they were 100% sure of it. However, the old man in legalism was only an elder in legalism, so he did not have the qualifications to know what method the three great factions had arranged. The main forces of the three great factions were already in the Death Valley and were rushing over. They originally wanted to capture Elder Yi and the others alive to suppress him, so they would probably arrive soon. President. Brother Xiaofu. Seeing that Du Xiaofu had killed the old man in legalism, the mysterious Dragon King, Tao Yu, Ji Jian, and the others immediately gathered around with surprised expressions. They did not expect that Du Xiaofu would appear at such a critical moment. Is everyone all right? Du Xiaofu smiled as he swept his gaze across. When he saw that everyone was fine, he felt relieved. It's fine. It's good that you're fine. Yi Wuming stepped forward with a serious expression as he said to Du Xiaofu, I feel that experts from legalism, dragons, and school of vertical and horizontal should be rushing over. Elder Yi's guess is correct. There are indeed some people from those three factions rushing over, but it's not a big problem. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly. He felt that everyone was afraid of Heavenly Wolf Mo Tianxiao's identity, so he introduced Mo Tianxiao, the Thunderhawk King, and the Mia Meng King to everyone. Greetings, Country Guardian Envoy. After the Desolate Nation's disciples learned of Heavenly Wolf Mo Tianxiao's identity, they also knew of his strength and background, so they immediately bowed. As the Country Guardian Duke, Yi Wuming's status in the Desolate Nation was naturally not below Mo Tianxiao's. However, he still nodded with joy in his eyes. With an expert like Heavenly Wolf Mo Tianxiao joining the Desolate Nation, it could be said that the Desolate Nation was filled with fierce generals. Mo Tianxiao nodded slightly, as if he was not used to such a scene. The alluring woman stepped forward and stared at Du Xiaofu. "Why aren't you introducing me? Are you treating me as if I don't exist? We don't seem to have much of a relationship. Moreover, I don't even know your name, so how am I supposed to introduce you?" Du Xiaofu looked at the alluring woman. Ever since he came out from the divine-souled devouring ant's nest, this woman had been following him. However, even now, he did not know much about her. With her cultivation and strength, Du Xiaofu judged that if she was at the Sovereign Tomb Square, she definitely had the strength to enter the Sovereign Tomb. However, she did not appear, so Du Xiaofu could not help but be wary of her. "My name is Hongyue." The alluring woman looked at Du Xiaofu and said seriously, "As for our relationship, it's not shallow. The old Ant Emperor gave the little Ant Emperor to the two of us, not just you. How would I know if you have any ill intentions towards the little Ant Emperor? I will naturally keep an eye on you. Then you can slowly keep an eye on me." Du Xiaofu did not mind. He lightly smiled and asked Yi Wuming, "Old physician, how long has it been since the Sovereign Tomb opened?" "It's only been 2 months. Yi Wuming thought for a moment and said to Du Xiaofu in puzzlement. "It's only been 2 months. Hearing that, Du Xiaofu was astonished. Mo Tianxiao, Thunderhawk King and Mia Meng King were also astonished. Du Xiaofu, Mo Tianxiao and the others felt that at least 10 to 20 years had passed since they were trapped in the light screen square. It was absolutely impossible for it to only be 2 months. Hearing that, they were all astonished. From the looks of it, there's a time contrast in there. It's similar to the desolate ancient space, but the time contrast is much higher. Du Xiaofu felt that it was strange, so he asked Yi Wuming. Now that he had confirmed it, the time in the light screen square was indeed different. "They're finally here." Suddenly, he looked at the sky and slightly raised his brows. He said to Yi Wuming and the others, "Old physician, you guys just need to protect yourselves. Try your best to back off. There's no need for you guys to interfere. Someone's here. It's been a long time since I've stretched my muscles." Mo Tianxiao, Thunderhawk King and Mia Meng King stepped forward together. Their eyes were glowing, eager to give it a try. The 3 of them had been trapped for so long, and their cultivation had skyrocketed. They wanted to stretch their muscles and loosen their muscles. The 100 or so people they had just killed were too weak for them. They were on a completely different level. At this moment, they were eager to give it a try, and their auras surged. Whoosh whoosh, as Mo Tianxiao's voice fell, there were many sounds of wind breaking in the distance. Figures broke through the sky like rainbows and appeared in the nearby sky. Boom! Before those figures arrived, a vast aura had already swept down, distorting the void. Dazzling rays of light were like the arrival of the bright moon and the sun. Then, figures appeared and landed on the cliff and huge rocks in the deep valley. The rainbows retracted, revealing their true bodies. Their eyes shone brightly as they scanned Du Xiaofu and the others. Chapter 1745. There weren't many of them, only about 200 people in total. In the divine domain, the dragons, the school of vertical and horizontal, and the legalism, couldn't bring out more people. The 3 forces had lost too many people in the divine domain this time, and they were all core experts. They had suffered heavy losses. Demon King. Du Xiaofu. When these people saw Du Xiaofu, their gazes and voices trembled. They were pleasantly surprised. The Demon King was indeed in the canyon. They were also afraid. The Demon King was too cruel. He had slaughtered countless experts from the 3 forces. Even Qin Wudi, Long San, Gong Sun Wuji, and other heaven-defying experts had been killed by the Demon King and his son. Looking at these people, Du Xiaofu's expression was calm. Du Xiaofu quietly looked at the 200 people, especially the old man, the middle-aged man in battle clothes, and the old woman in front. Du Xiaofu had already learned from the soul of the old man in legalism that this was the legalism, the dragons, and the 3 leaders of the school of vertical and horizontal. They were all at the peak of the great domain realm, close to the realm level, and they had all come to kill him. Du Xiaofu was especially familiar with the old man leading the legalism. They had met many times in the legalism, but he didn't know his name. Of course, the names of these people weren't important to Du Xiaofu at all. There were many experts among these giants, so he didn't need to know their names. They're all experts. The experts of the 3 forces have gathered for Du Xiaofu. Yi Wuming, Tang Miling, Gue Hua, and the others looked at the experts of the 3 forces, and their chests heaved up and down. They were nervous, and their hearts were in turmoil. They couldn't help but worry for Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu seems different. The auras of the people around him are also very powerful. The 3 leaders of the legalism, the school of vertical and horizontal, and the dragons looked at Du Xiaofu, Mo Tianxiao, Thunderhawk King, and Mia Meng King, and were inwardly moved. They felt the aura of Du Xiaofu, and the auras of Mo Tianxiao and the other strangers made them feel apprehensive. The auras of the 3 strangers were like dormant dragons and crouching tigers. Bastard, however, the blood mist and corpses around the canyon immediately, and many people from the 3 forces were furious. Du Xiaofu glanced at the people of the 3 forces and said calmly, "What? Does your heart ache? They're too weak. They can't even take a single blow. Du Xiaofu, you're digging your own grave." The leader of the dragons roared angrily. Killing intent surged, and dragon tattoos appeared in his eyes. "I'm just digging a grave for you." Du Xiaofu spoke. His figure stood tall and straight. His purple robe fluttered in the wind, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. His resolute and determined face appeared heroic under the invisible otherworldly aura he exuded at this moment. However, there was even more of an inexplicably domineering and disdainful aura. That feeling was akin to a man with an upright and plain-spoken face and an aura of righteousness. However, that aura just so happened to contain a trace of wickedness. As they stared at Du Xiaofu, the experts from the 3 great powers fell silent, their hearts filled with fear. Especially for the experts of the legalism. Perhaps they had never thought that such a day would come. Back then, the ant from the outside world that they did not take seriously had become a young sovereign in just over 20 years. He had shaken the world with the might of a great sovereign's nirvana. He was invincible, looking down on those of the same generation. He had never been defeated. He was the most powerful young person from the school of legalism, and even Qin Wudi had been killed by him. His chest heaved, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. The old man of the legalism took a deep breath, looked at Du Xiaofu, and said coldly, "Little bastard, no matter how strong you are, it's still not enough. Today, you're dead." Hearing the words of the old man of the legalism, Du Xiaofu had mixed feelings, but he had already calmed down. Looking at the people of the legalism, he didn't say anything, but his gaze was incomparably cold. Listening to the conversation between Du Xiaofu and the people of the legalism, Mo Tianxiao, Thunderhawk King, Mia Meng King, and the others could feel that there were many waves in this. They didn't know what Du Xiaofu had done to provoke the joint attack of the 3 forces, and they wanted to kill him. However, Mo Tianxiao more or less knew that Du Xiaofu had killed Qin Wudi, Long San, and the others in the Sovereign Tomb Square. That was enough to make the 3 forces fight to the death. "Let's deal with them together. Kill them," Mo Tianxiao said. He was also stronger than the dragons and the other 2 forces, but he had already expected that he would agree to join the desolate country for 100 years. At this moment, sensing the aura of the people of the 3 forces, he didn't put them in his eyes. The peak of the great domain realm was just close to the realm level. Why would Mo Tianxiao care about them at this moment? Even if a peak domain realm expert came, Mo Tianxiao wouldn't spare them a glance and could directly kill them. Mo Tianxiao had also defeated several illusory opponents in the mysterious light screen. He could be considered invincible among the Nirvana realm experts. Why would he care about these peak great domain realm experts at this moment? Of course. Kill them. Du Xiaofu nodded. He was no longer bothered by the legalism. His voice was calm, and his entire body was covered with golden light. The aura emitted from him made people have an impulse to worship him. This was the change after comprehending the 8 trigrams profound. The old man of the legalism, the middle-aged man in the dragon's battle suit, and the old lady of the school of vertical and horizontal looked at Du Xiaofu, Mo Tianxiao, Thunderhawk King, and Mia Meng King. The 4 figures standing in front of them gave them an inexplicable sense of unease. However, they weren't weaklings. They were the elders of the legalism, school of vertical and horizontal, and dragons. They had extraordinary statuses, so they immediately suppressed the uneasiness in their hearts. Don't let Du Xiaofu escape again. He must be killed today. The middle-aged man in the dragon's battle suit shouted in a deep voice. His voice was like a dragon's roar, and his aura was astonishing. The sound waves exploded in the deep valley, causing Yi Wuming, Tang Miling, and the others to tremble. Boom! Suddenly, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the deep valley. Thunder and lightning wreaked havoc, and the void trembled. At this moment, Thunderhawk King stepped out of the void. Electric arcs rippled around him, and a terrifying aura swept across the void like thunder. His gaze was sharp and intimidating. Bastard, you think you can touch us with just a few pieces of trash? Your Grandpa Eagle King is going to die from laughter. Thunderhawk King laughed out in anger. Ever since he failed to break through 1,000 years ago, he had been joining forces with Mia Meng to guard against the Nightmare Dragon King. But now that Thunderhawk King had recovered from his injuries and broken through, he was looked down upon by these people the moment he came out. It was as though they wanted to kill him. He was the king of this space, the ruler of all beasts. How could he not be enraged? However, Thunderhawk King was amused as well. To think that a few greater domain state beings would dare to clamor in front of him. Even before he had broken through to the nirvana state, he wouldn't have cared about these people, let alone now. So, it's the remnant beasts of the ancient times. Don't you dare get cocky. The middle-aged man in the dragon's battle suit could sense the aura of Thunderhawk King. Dragon tattoos surged out of his eyes as he released his might, wanting to suppress Thunderhawk King. That was because the middle-aged man in the dragon's battle suit could not sense the true cultivation state and strength of Thunderhawk King. Thunderhawk King was somewhat aggrieved. He was a supreme nirvana state being, and was currently at the nirvana state. But to think that this ignorant dragon would dare to look down on him. Come, play with your grandpa Thunderhawk King. The Thunderhawk King started laughing as lightning started to descend from the surrounding space, and it was as if a thunderstorm had descended from the surrounding valleys. A boundless aura of destruction spread out in the sky, and those with slightly lower strengths had already felt their minds tremble and their legs go soft. So strong. The middle-aged man in the dragon's battle suit finally had a change in expression as he sensed the powerful aura of Thunderhawk King. Don't talk too much. Killing that little bastard is the most important thing. The old lady from the house of Zongheng spoke as she stared at Du Xiaofu with killing intent. Their joint target was Du Xiaofu, and they did not want the dragons to be distracted. Do you want to come at me together? Du Xiaofu took a step forward with a calm expression. His body fluctuated as mysterious runes lingered around him. There seemed to be a faint shadow of a golden-winged rock flapping its wings in the void behind him. It was incomparably tyrannical with a torrential aura, and a great pressure of the supreme beast race spread out. Little bastard, I shouldn't have let you live back then. The old man from the legalism school spoke in a deep voice. Now, the entire legalism school was filled with regret. If they had completely annihilated that father and son back then the legalism school wouldn't have suffered heavy losses time and time again. Those losses were already something the legalism school was unable to bear. Du Xiaofu laughed. He had no choice but to laugh, then his laughter stopped abruptly as he looked at the old man from the legalism school and said, "What's legalism school? Do you think you're the heavens, able to make people live and die? My life is my own. Even if the heavens want my life, what can they do to me if I don't give it to them? My life is in my own hands and not in the hands of the heavens, let alone your legalism school." As soon as he finished speaking, Du Xiaofu's pupils were suffused with a golden light, and on his indifferent face, his aura surged and transformed into a pressure that caused the void to tremble. Chapter 1746. Translator, Nyoibo Studio Editor, Nyoibo Studio, pressure swept out from Du Xiaofu's body like a raging tide. He did not take the initiative to attack, but the invisible pressure swept out, causing some of the weaker members of the three great forces to immediately scream. Their eyes trembled, their faces turned pale and their eyes were filled with fear. "Bastard!" The legalism old man roared furiously and swept out his sleeve. Light surged and a magnificent and desolate aura surged out. That aura was extremely similar to the mysterious spiritual root in Du Xiaofu's mind, and it helped the people in the surroundings recover. Chi, but at this moment, the middle-aged man in the dragon's battle clothes made his move and his figure shot out like lightning. At the same time, his dragon might erupted, and light shone brightly. At the instant his figure swooped down slightly, he activated his true form, and a 10,000 feet long dragon appeared in the air. In the blink of an eye, it appeared ferocious. "Ao!" The dragon's roar reverberated, and the surrounding rocks exploded. The dragon's scales glowed, and its bloody mouth was already swallowing Du Xiaofu. It was as fast as lightning and as powerful as thunder. The middle-aged man in the dragon's battle clothes was launching a sneak attack. His grand domain realm was extremely close to the domain realm, and this gave him some confidence that he could protect himself even if he missed. Humph! The Thunderhawk King was originally staring at the middle-aged man from the dragon clan. He snorted coldly from his throat and waved his hand. Lightning surged and rapidly spread out in the air. He grabbed at the huge dragon with a claw that was accompanied by an enormous pressure. OM! But before the Thunderhawk King, wind and thunder resounded and a sharp aura surged into the sky. A blade light broke through the air and soared into the sky. At this moment, a huge green saber appeared in Du Xiaofu's palm, emitting a terrifying light. With a slash, it was like a rainbow piercing through the sun. The surrounding void was directly sliced apart, revealing a pitch-black spatial crack that extended forward. Everything happened in the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint. Pooh! The giant dragon started from its ferocious mouth and extended all the way to its giant tail. It was split into two halves from the middle. Its corpse, accompanied by dragon blood, fell into the deep valley, shattering many rocks and causing rumbling sounds to reverberate. The middle-aged man in the dragon's battle clothes only knew that he was wrong when he died. He did not have the ability to protect himself at all in the hands of Du Xiaofu, but it was too late for regrets. This sudden turn of events immediately stunned everyone from the three great forces. Even Yi Wuming, Tang Meiling, Ghost Child and the rest were sucking in a cold breath. The middle-aged man in the dragon's battle clothes was Grand Domain Realm was a powerful expert, but he was killed by Du Xiaofu was just killed by Du Xiaofu with a single slash. Dragons. The legalism, battle clothes and the old sex school. The legalism school, the school clan battle school. The school and the old school. The strength of the leader of the dragon's battle clothes was definitely not inferior to the two of them. However, the demon king, Du Xiaofu, was so powerful and terrifying that he killed the middle-aged man with a single slash. The surroundings suddenly became strangely quiet as everyone trembled. This was especially true for the people from the school of legalism, the dragon clan, and the school of vertical and horizontal. They all felt a chill run down their spines. Du Xiaofu was just too terrifying. He's getting stronger and stronger. This was the thought in the minds of the legalism school's sect. The demon king, Du Xiaofu, was even more powerful than when they first met him in the divine domain. The Thunderhawk king retreated. With Du Xiaofu taking action, he could not be of any help. He was a little depressed that he was not allowed to exercise his muscles and bones. Mo Tianxiao, Mia Meng King, and the charming woman who called herself Hongyue were not surprised by this outcome. As expected, he's as ferocious as the legends say. Hongyue seemed to have heard of the demon king, Du Xiaofu's name before. She slightly pouted, and her red lips were tender and alluring. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu was staring at the dragon corpse. Du Xiaofu had killed the huge dragon before the Thunderhawk King because he knew from the primordial spirit of the old man from the legalism school that the legalism school, the dragon school, and the school of vertical and horizontal had prepared a method to kill him this time. Therefore, he had to be on guard. Under Du Xiaofu's gaze, a strange light suddenly spread out from the pool of dragon blood within the shattered dragon corpse. Boom! Boom! In that instant, the surrounding space trembled for no reason. From within the light, a figure wrapped in a dazzling radiance that was like the sun appeared. The surrounding light flickered, and it was an old man with an aged appearance. Along with the appearance of this figure, a terrifying pressure spread out. It was as if a peerless dragon was born, bringing with it an unparalleled dragon's might. Aoo! In the depths of the void, a dragon's roar resounded. The terrifying pressure was released, causing Yi Wuming, Tang Miling, Ghost Child, and the mysterious Wirm King to tremble. They could only look up. At this moment, even the light in the surrounding space was devoured by quite a bit. The wind and clouds surged high up in the sky as the roar of a dragon resounded. Along with the appearance of this old man, the space froze. The old man's eyes were like torches, and his figure was majestic. His entire body was suffused with the aura of a true dragon. He floated in the air, and the faint shadow of a dragon could be seen hovering in the air. Dazzling runes descended like a rain of light, as if it was a miracle. Along with the appearance of this old figure, the disciples of the dragon school who were intimidated and terrified immediately revealed expressions of joy, as if they had seen hope. Greetings, Ancestor Long Tang. The disciples of the dragon school bowed respectfully, their dragon blood boiling. They were very surprised, as they never thought that Ancestor Long Tang would actually appear here. When they felt the terrifying dragon's might, Mo Tianxiao, Thunderhawk King, King Mia Meng, and Hongyue's expressions changed. This was a truly terrifying expert. A primordial spirit doppelganger. Du Xiaofu's eyes narrowed slightly, and his gaze fell on the old figure of the dragon school that had suddenly appeared. Du Xiaofu was no stranger to primordial spirit doppelganger. Back when Du Xiaofu had yet to step into the domain realm, the experts of the devil religion and Dongli Qingqing's master had sent out their doppelganger. To put it more clearly, a primordial spirit doppelganger was a wisp of the primordial spirit's power, and not the primordial spirit itself. This kind of doppelganger was only condensed from a wisp of the primordial spirit's power. Once it appeared, it wouldn't last for long. However, being able to summon a true primordial spirit doppelganger was also the symbol of a domain realm expert. It was a technique that only a domain realm expert could possess. However, no one would casually use a primordial spirit doppelganger, as it was condensed from a large portion of a person's primordial spirit. Once the primordial spirit doppelganger was injured, the original primordial spirit would also be severely injured. Once the primordial spirit doppelganger was destroyed, it would be equivalent to the most serious injury. In the future, it would be impossible for one's cultivation to increase. It would be considered good if it didn't regress. To a certain extent, the importance of a primordial spirit doppelganger was extraordinary. As for the primordial spirit doppelganger, it was even more important than the physical body. It was the core of a living being's existence, the foundation of one's life. If a martial domain realm expert condensed a primordial spirit doppelganger, his strength would be enough to kill a peak martial honorable. At this moment, Du Xiaofu looked at the figure that was called Ancestor Longtang, as if it was real. However, under Du Xiaofu's prying, it was naturally not difficult to see that it was slightly illusory, but its aura was very powerful, far exceeding the original peak of the great domain realm in the deity domain. When Longting's primordial spirit doppelganger appeared, the eyes of the old man from the legalism school and the old woman from the school of vertical and horizontal flickered. At the same time, they formed hand seals, and two bright rays of light shot out from between their eyebrows. Rumble, when the two rays of light shot out, the void trembled, and a vast fluctuation swept through the entire world. Runes covered the sky, shining in all directions, as if a god was descending. Under that terrifying aura, Wuming, Ghost Child, and the others raised their heads, and their hearts trembled for no reason. In an instant, two figures appeared in the sky, wrapped in bright runes, as if the sun was shining in the sky. The two figures and Longting's primordial spirit doppelganger stood together, their eyes shining brightly. Greetings, Ancestor. When the two old men appeared, the experts from the legalism school and the school of vertical and horizontal, except for the leading old man and the old woman, all trembled in surprise. The experts from the three forces were overjoyed at this moment. They only knew that their families had arranged a method to kill Du Xiaofu, but they did not know what kind of arrangement it was. At this moment, they knew that the ancestor had personally entered the deity domain. This time, Du Xiaofu was definitely going to die. Li Qinfa. When the two old men from the legalism school and the school of vertical and horizontal shot out together, Du Xiaofu's eyes narrowed in confusion. Du Xiaofu did not recognize the old man from the school of vertical and horizontal, but the old man from the legalism school had been reduced to ashes. Du Xiaofu recognized him as well. He was one of the ancestors from the legalism school, Li Qinfa. They're both primordial spirit doppelganger as well. Du Xiaofu discovered that Li Qinfa and the ancestor from the school of vertical and horizontal were just like the dragon's Longteng. They were all primordial spirit doppelganger. Li Qinfa's figure appeared. His figure was slightly illusory, and only true experts could recognize him. He wore long robes, and his face was clean and fair. His gaze was vast and boundless like the ocean, as if it contained a world of its own. He stared fixedly at Du Xiaofu as cold-killing intent surged. How did the primordial spirit doppelganger of an overlord realm expert enter? Mo Tian Xiao stepped forward and sent a voice transmission to Du Xiaofu. He stared at the three primordial spirit doppelganger with a fierce expression, but it could not escape his detection. However, Mo Tian Xiao was curious as to how these primordial spirit doppelganger had entered. The deity domain's restrictions prevented those above the domain realm from entering. Even primordial spirit doppelganger could not enter. Someone had tried before, but the primordial spirit doppelganger had been destroyed in the end. Something happened in the deity domain. Perhaps that's the reason why they entered this place. Du Xiaofu's eyes glowed as he stared at the three people. Back then, he had not been able to determine Li Qinfa's cultivation base, but now, he could sense that the auras of Li Qinfa's three primordial spirit doppelganger had surpassed the domain realm. They were definitely at the overlord realm. The primordial spirit doppelganger of a overlord realm expert was comparable to a peak domain realm expert. If it was a peak domain realm expert, a primordial spirit doppelganger would be comparable to an ordinary overlord realm expert. Chapter 1747. As the current master of the divine domain, Du Xiaofu could sense that something had changed in the divine domain as well. Although the three clones had entered the divine domain and were not killed, they were still affected by the divine domain. The strength of Li Qinfa and the other two clones had probably been suppressed to a certain extent. I've come into contact with domain realm and overlord realm cultivators in the past. These three clones seem to have been suppressed. Mo Tianxiao's voice landed in Du Xiaofu's ears once more. He also sensed that there was something wrong with the three clones' auras. He had come into contact with overlord realm and domain realm cultivators in the past. Their auras were definitely stronger than these 3 clones. We'll know if they've been suppressed once we give it a try. Du Xiaofu replied indifferently. He was not very nervous. No matter how bad the situation was, he still had 3 scorching thunder bombs on him. A single scorching thunder bomb was enough to make peak overlord realm cultivators struggle to defend themselves. It was enough to deal with the 3 clones. However, Du Xiaofu really could not bear to use a treasure like the blazing lightning bullet to deal with the 3 essence soul avatars. Little bastard, how dare you kill the descendants of dragons? Long Ting appeared. He glanced at the 2 halves of the dragon corpse on the ground and roared. He glared furiously at Du Xiaofu as dragon silhouettes rippled around him. He was denouncing Du Xiaofu with a peerlessly domineering aura. If I kill too many dragons, I'll kill every single one of them if they come to provoke me. Du Xiaofu stared coldly at Long Teng. He was no longer as fearless as he was in the past. Little bastard, you'll only be a disaster if you're left alive. You're dead for sure today. You won't be able to escape even if you grow wings. No one will come to save you again. Li Chunfa glared angrily at Du Xiaofu. Dazzling light fluctuated from his body as his killing intent soared. He didn't say anything at all. His sharp and cold aura crushed down. This is the space of the divine domain. Who do you think you are, Li Chunfa? You're just a Yuan divinity avatar. Even if your true body were here, I would still kill you today. Du Xiaofu responded indifferently. His purple robe and black hair fluttered in the wind, but the coldness in his eyes increased. For some reason, the surrounding space became cold, and it made one's spirit tremble. So it's just an essence soul avatar. Its aura is actually so powerful. When they heard this, Yi Wuming, Ghost Child, the Dark Wirm King, and the others finally realized that it was actually only 3 soul core clones, yet they were already so formidable and possessed such terrifying auras. So if their main bodies were to come here, then exactly how terrifying would their main bodies be? Long Teng, Gong Sunhua, and Li Chunfa were inwardly shocked. Du Xiaofu could tell at a glance that they were only primordial soul avatars. Little bastard, don't overestimate yourself. Li Chunfa's teeth emitted a chill. Being belittled by a junior like this, his anger was burning. But at this moment, Li Chunfa could also feel that in such a short time, the feeling that Du Xiaofu gave him was completely different from when he was in legalism. It was not only in terms of cultivation, but there was also a hidden majesty and power. It was like a dragon hibernating in the abyss, a tiger crouching in the forest, and a phoenix perching in the trees. Long Teng and Gong Sunhua could also feel this aura. They were even secretly spying on Du Xiaofu, but they were not in a hurry to act. At their level of cultivation, they were definitely not reckless people. Otherwise, they would not have achieved their current status and achievements. At this moment, Du Xiaofu stood quietly as golden light enveloped him. Within his eyes, the golden light was suffused with mysterious runes. However, the formless aura that radiated from him was so powerful that ordinary people could not sense it. That aura was like a dormant volcano or a sleeping beast. Once it erupted, it would immediately rush to the heavens and shatter the 9 heavens. This little bastard seems to be getting stronger and stronger. According to our agreement, kill him quickly. Don't let him live. Long Ting transmitted. This time, the 3 of them had entered the divine dominion with the help of a treasure from the dragons. They had also paid a huge price. They only had one goal, and that was to kill Du Xiaofu in the divine dominion. There could not be any more accidents. I want to kill this little bastard personally. You guys deal with the others. Li Chunfa transmitted. He wanted to kill Du Xiaofu personally. Let's kill them together. We can't let any accidents happen. Long Teng and Gong Sunhua transmitted at almost the same time. They knew that Du Xiaofu had many treasures on him. If Du Xiaofu was killed by Li Chunfa, it would be hard to say who would own those treasures. How could Li Chenfa not know what Long Teng and Gong Sunhua were thinking? He cursed in his heart, but also transmitted, "All right, we can kill them together. Little bastard, it's time for everything to end today. You'll pay for what you've done." Gong Sunhua said. His figure moved forward slightly, and a scorching aura emanated from his Yuan spirit clone. At the same time, Li Chenfa and Long Teng's faint auras had already enveloped the void in an arc, surrounding Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu, that little bastard, is dead for sure. When the disciples of the school of legalism, the dragons, and the school of vertical and horizontal saw this, their ancestors' Yuan spirit clones made a move and immediately retreated. At this moment it was as if they could already see the tragic end of the insufferably arrogant Du Xiaofu. He was destined to die at the hands of their ancestors today. Feeling the invisible pressure, Mo Tianxiao, Thunderhawk King, and Mia Meng King did not retreat. Instead, they moved closer to Du Xiaofu. "Are you from the school of vertical and horizontal? Report to me," Du Xiaofu said to Gong Sunhua. Feeling the fluctuations of the auras from the three of them, his gaze turned cold. His black hair danced violently behind him, and the void trembled for no reason. "Remember, Gong Sunhua of the school of vertical and horizontal, your life is destined to be lost at my hands," Gong Sunhua said. The moment he finished speaking, a terrifying scorching aura erupted at the same time, and his figure disappeared on the spot. Boom! At this moment, the void in the valley trembled. In a flash, a scorching flame hovered in the void, burning fiercely. The wind and clouds in the void surged. Whoosh! From the billowing flames, a giant void palm imprint stretched out, wrapped in flames as hot as magma. The heat was enough to destroy everything. The surrounding abyss was cracking, and the deep valleys were exploding. The palm imprint pressed down on Du Xiaofu. The terrifying aura was enough to destroy everything. This was the attack of Gong Sunhua's Yuan spirit clone, accompanied by a Yuan spirit attack. The Yuan spirit clone of a powerhouse of this level carried with it immense Yuan spirit power. Roar! A dragon's roar filled the sky, and a divine elephant trumpeted. The domineering golden light illuminated everything, and the void trembled. Du Xiaofu moved. His purple robe fluttered, and with a shake of his arm, he punched out with a domineering aura, wrapped in golden light, directly resisting the power of the palm. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's half-step nirvana cultivation was not held back. A terrifying aura swept out from his tall body like a hurricane. His purple robe fluttered in the wind, and cracks spread out from his feet, densely covering the surrounding void. Boom! This punch shattered the void, and the sky was overturned. The pitch-black cracks in the void spread out, accompanied by dazzling runes. Rumble, the terrifying energy swept out, directly crushing the distant abyss. The cracks climbed up the walls, and huge rocks exploded. With a rumble, the earth shook, and the mountains collapsed. This terrifying collision made Yi Wuming, Tang Miling, and the others' hair stand on end. Chi, space broke, and the flames were shattered. Gong Sunhua's primordial spirit avatar staggered back a few steps. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's body only swayed slightly. He licked his lips, which were slightly dry from the fiery destructive aura, and muttered softly, "It's really suppressed. At most, it's at the edge of the domain realm." When this happened, Mo Tianxiao, Thunder Eagle King, and Mia Meng King all smiled coldly, and relaxed. President's strength seems to have increased greatly again. The mysterious Wirm King's fierce eyes were filled with shock, and he trembled. It's not a small increase. Yi Wuming, who had been frowning nervously, and whose heart had been in his throat, was now shocked. These were the primordial spirit avatars of the dragons, school of vertical and horizontal, and the legalism sect. They were terrifyingly powerful, but they could not even gain the upper hand in front of Du Xiaofu. Compared to Li Chenfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua, who had been knocked back, all of them were shocked. Gong Sunhua had not gained the upper hand in one move, and had instead fallen into a disadvantage. This made them tremble with shock. Chapter 1748. At this moment, Du Xiaofu stood upright. Golden Xian Qi was released around him, forming a golden Xian Qi storm. It was like a hurricane in the sky. Around the Xian Qi hurricane, there seemed to be the faint image of a golden-winged rock flapping its wings in the sky. The domineering and fierce pressure that emanated from it caused everyone to be stunned. At this moment, this terrifying commotion was completely caused by the vigorous Xian Qi in Du Xiaofu's body. It was so vast and majestic that it caused the surrounding space to distort. Crack crack, the entire space seemed like it would be crushed at any moment. For no reason, the space above the deep valley trembled. On the ground of the deep valley, arm-sized cracks continuously spread out. Amidst this terrifying commotion, Du Xiaofu was like a boulder. His eyes opened and closed, shooting out golden light. At this moment, Du Xiaofu did not hold back the aura of a half-step rebirth nirvana stage. Under the immeasurable nirvana stage, Du Xiaofu's various profundities and techniques had perfectly fused together. The vastness of the star's profundities, the domineering strength of the golden-winged rock clan, the terrifying heat of the purple-flame demonic phoenix, the murderous lightning's profundities, and the profundities of the grass of immortality and the dark seeker grass, under the immeasurable nirvana stage, all of these perfectly fused together naturally. It also affected Du Xiaofu's Xian Qi imperceptibly, causing the quality of his Xian Qi to rise to a new level. Just by relying on the vigorous Xian Qi in his body, Du Xiaofu could defeat anyone in the same cultivation level as him. It was not impossible for him to fight opponents above his level. Li Chenfa, Gong Sunhua, and Long Ting stared closely at Du Xiaofu. At this moment, Du Xiaofu did not hold back his half-step rebirth nirvana stage aura. With their cultivation and eyesight, they could naturally sense it. Half-step rebirth. Finally, Li Chenfa's voice rang out as his Yuan spirit body trembled. The light in his eyes trembled, as if he had been struck by lightning. Half-step reincarnation. This level of cultivation was only half a step away from reincarnation. It was equivalent to the half-step domain realm of the martial domain realm. However, strictly speaking, everyone clearly knew that although a nirvana stage sovereign was at the same level as the martial domain stage, there was a world of difference in terms of strength, let alone a sovereign amongst sovereigns like Du Xiaofu. How did he break through so quickly? Didn't this little bastard not enter the Supreme Being tomb? Gong Sunhua was trembling. The speed at which Du Xiaofu was breaking through was too fast. When they were fighting Qin Wudi and Long San in the Supreme Tomb, they had seen that Du Xiaofu was only at the Nirvana True Self level. But now, in a short period of 2 months, Du Xiaofu had not only broken through to the Nirvana stage, but also reached the half-step rebirth stage. This was too terrifying. Li Chenfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua looked at each other, their eyes trembling. At this moment, they were afraid of the same thing. Du Xiaofu's breakthrough speed was too terrifying. He was a monster among monsters. If he continued to break through at this rate, probably no one from the school of legalism, the Dragon Clan, and the school of vertical and horizontal would be able to keep him in check before long. Kill. Almost at the same time, cold killing intent surged from their eyes. The killing intent boiled in their hearts as the three of them took a step forward, crossing the void. The three of them had decided that they would kill Du Xiaofu today, no matter what. Seeing Du Xiaofu's cultivation and breakthrough speed, Li Chenfa and the other two felt fear and lingering fear. In the past, Li Chenfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua had sworn to kill Du Xiaofu because of Qin Wudi, Gong Sun Wuji, and Long San. That was because they felt that Du Xiaofu's talent was terrifying, and they were afraid that he would grow even more terrifying in the future. Secondly, there were too many factions around Du Xiaofu. He had just started to grow, and there would be endless trouble in the future. But now, Li Chunfa and the other two's killing intent came from Du Xiaofu himself. Du Xiaofu's terrifying breakthrough speed, monstrous talent, and ferocious personality made Li Chunfa and the other two feel fear and dread in their hearts. The three of them want to team up. The older they get, the more shameless they get. Sensing that Li Chunfa and the other two were about to team up, Yi Wuming, the mysterious Dragon King, Ji Jiyan, and Gui Hua cursed inwardly. But they could only curse. With their cultivation and strength, they didn't even have the right to be affected. 3 against 1. Those guys are really shameless. Hong Yue, who had been watching the show from the side, scolded with disdain on her beautiful face. However, she had no intention of interfering. Mo Tianxiao, Thunderhawk King, and Mia Meng moved. Their auras surged. They wanted to help Du Xiaofu. Then these 3 old men are mine. You guys deal with the rest. Du Xiaofu waved his sleeve and said. He didn't hide it and had no intention of letting Mo Tianxiao and the other two interfere. The cultivation of Li Chunfa and the others' clones were suppressed to the domain realm. To Du Xiaofu, they were nothing. Little bastard, do you really think you can deal with us? Seeing that Du Xiaofu didn't hide the fact that he didn't care about the 3 of them, Li Chunfa became ferocious. At this moment, although the 3 of them were in the divine domain, their clones' cultivation was still suppressed. However, they weren't suppressed to the initial stage of the martial domain realm, but to the domain realm. With the 3 of them working together, Li Chunfa didn't believe that they couldn't kill Du Xiaofu. Half-step Nirvana realm was not the true Nirvana realm. Even if Du Xiaofu had truly stepped into the Nirvana realm, Li Chunfa was confident that he could kill Du Xiaofu with the 3 of them working together. After all, they were the ancestors of the 3 great clans. How could a junior compare to them? I'll kill your clones today. After this emperor leaves, I'll kill your main bodies. Du Xiaofu stretched out his hand and pointed his index finger at Li Chunfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua. He was incomparably domineering and arrogant. In thousands of years, you're the first person who dares to be so arrogant in front of this old man. Then die. Long Ting spoke. As his voice fell, his face was terrifyingly cold, and dragon shadows flashed around him. Roar. In that instant, a dragon's roar resounded through the void. The atmosphere immediately tensed. Long Ting's chilling killing intent swept through the air, his eyes filled with dragon tattoos. Almost at the same time, Gong Sunhua's aura rose again. Raging flames filled the sky, crushing the void. Boom! Boom! Li Chunfa also moved. His clone also shone brightly. Runes spread across the sky, and a world seemed to appear behind him. The sun, the moon, and the stars rotated, and an ancient aura filled the air. Vast and mighty pressure surged. All of a sudden, the 3 patriarch clones moved at the same time. 3 waves of icy killing intent rose to the peak. The 3 ancestor clones were now working together to kill Du Xiaofu. The 3 of them were working together for a junior. In this world, Du Xiaofu was probably the only person who could make Li Chunfa and the other 2 shamelessly work together to deal with him. As the 3 of them unleashed their auras, 3 terrifying auras filled the sky, crushing the chaotic abyss in all directions. Chi, in the blink of an eye, a flaming fingerprint, a powerful palm print, and an illusory dragon claw shot out like arrows in the void. The 3 attacks pierced through space. Dazzling runes adhered to them, forming a semicircle that shot fiercely towards Du Xiaofu. The 3 terrifying auras distorted the void. In a flash, they had already appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. Faced with the 3 terrifying attacks at the same time, Du Xiaofu's expression did not change. Under the trembling gazes of Yi Wuming and the others below, he formed a hand seal, and the space in front of him suddenly distorted. Chi, his figure was like a ghost, drifting like a god, changing unpredictably. Du Xiaofu's figure escaped from the 3 attacks like a loach in mud. Humph, but at the same time, 3 cold snorts were heard. Li Chenfa and the others were so powerful that their attacks would not let Du Xiaofu escape so easily. Li Chenfa and the other 2 doppelgangers appeared, and their attacks changed. Like shadows, they continued to envelop Du Xiaofu, like maggots in a tarsal bone. The 3 attacks seemed simple, but they contained great power. The stronger the cultivation, the more terrifying they would be. Du Xiaofu did not panic. The 3 attacks followed closely, and the space around him was already distorted. Rumble, everything happened very quickly. The 3 attacks exploded in the void. Terrifying energy surged. The runes shone brightly, but they contained the power of destruction. A large area of the void was shattered into a pitch-black vacuum. It was so deep that it made one's heart tremble with fear. Li Chenfa, Gong Sunhua, and Long Ting appeared in the void, staring at the place where the 3 attacks had just struck. Suddenly, the 3 of them seemed to have noticed at the same time, and immediately looked up. Chi, the void rippled, and golden light filled the air. A figure quietly appeared. It was Du Xiaofu, who had just disappeared. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu was unscathed. His golden eyes looked at Li Chenfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua, and a cold smile appeared on his lips. He said softly, "Is this all you've got? Then it's my turn." Chapter 1749. When Du Xiaofu finished speaking, the smile on his face became even wider. Rumble. It was also at this instant that a strand of dazzling golden profound energy surged out from within Du Xiaofu's body like a golden tide and a myriad of galloping beasts. It carried the rumbling of wind and thunder as it swept out towards the surroundings like tidewater. At this moment, the entire abyss was trembling. The golden light penetrated the void without end. In just a moment, a terrifying, formless aura swept across the void. In the dazzling golden light, purple gold lightning began to ripple in Du Xiaofu's eyes. His black hair danced in the wind. His entire body was golden, and the shadow of the purple gold thunder rock appeared behind him. The aura was terrifying, like that of a god. This is not good. Retreat. Feeling this strange aura, Li Chenfa, Gong Sunhua, and Long Ting's expressions changed. They felt uneasy and wanted to retreat immediately. But it seemed that it was too late. "Didn't you want to kill me? Are you retreating now?" Du Xiaofu said, still smiling. Suddenly, a dazzling light spread out from his body. It was as if he was emitting divine light. Ancient runes rippled out and formed an 8 trigrams pattern. Whoosh! The light was like a divine chain. It hung in the air and enveloped Du Xiaofu. Then, it suddenly appeared in the void. The 8 trigrams pattern appeared in the air and enveloped the primordial spirits of Li Chenfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua. Even the 200 people from the school of legalism, the school of vertical and horizontal, and the dragons, who had retreated not too far away, were suddenly enveloped in shock. The void distorted and a vast aura descended. A terrifying pressure caused the primordial spirits of the 3 families to tremble. The opening of the divine dominion in the Chenhuang mainland was a grand occasion for the world. The experts of the various factions and families had been lingering here for a long time. But for some of the top experts of the older generation, this opening of the divine dominion was very different from the previous one. The appearance of the demon king, Du Xiaofu, and the enmity between him and the legalism had caused the past events of the school of vertical and horizontal and the legalism. Coupled with the participation of the dragons, the top young representatives of the 3 families were all wiped out. The changes in the divine dominion seemed to be related to the last opening. Some experts were no longer suppressed, but those whose cultivation had surpassed the boundary realm was still unable to enter. Many ancient inheritances and relics had appeared in the divine domain. Many people had their eyes on them, and they were fiercely fighting for them both openly and secretly. I wonder how it is, it has been a long time since we last heard any news of Du Xiaofu. Recently, there have been a lot of movements in the divine domain. The Supreme Tomb should be opening again soon. When that time comes, the divine domain will completely disappear. I wonder who found the greatest fortunate encounter in the Supreme Tomb. Bing Mo, Old Man Tian Shou, Old Monster Xing Hun, and the other experts discussed. Something doesn't seem right. In the great golden-winged rocks, the old lady looked at Li Chenfa, Qin Tianshi, Long Teng, and the others. Li Chenfa, Long Teng, and the others had been quiet for a long time. This made the old lady a little suspicious and uneasy. The experts from the other forces were entrenched in their respective areas, occupying the densely packed mountain peaks in the surroundings. They were all waiting for their disciples to come out of the divine dominion. They were looking forward to the amazing opportunities that would strengthen their sects and revitalize their families. At this moment, Long Teng, Gong Sanhua, and Li Chenfa were together with Qin Tianshi and the others. They were all sitting on a mountain peak that towered into the clouds. Their primordial spirit avatars were connected to their real bodies in the divine dominion. Everything that happened was clear to their real bodies. However, at this moment, the sneers on Li Chenfa's and the other two's faces suddenly turned serious. Boom! Just as the Chenhuang mainland was in a rare moment of peace, there was suddenly a slight tremor. All of a sudden, ancient runes appeared in the void. Whoosh! Then, under the astonished gazes of countless people on the Chenhuang mainland, the void above the divine dominion was cleansed by the ancient runes. It was like a mirage. At this moment, many people who were sitting cross-legged on the Chenhuang mainland suddenly stood up and looked up at the void above. In an instant, a strange 8 trigrams pattern appeared in the void above the divine dominion. A terrifying aura descended and covered the entire Chenhuang mainland. This aura was like the sea. It could carry everything. When the waves were calm, it was vast and could nourish all things. But if there was a violent storm, it would create terrifying waves that would destroy everything. The 8 trigrams pattern, Qian, Kuan, Zhen, Sun, Kan, Li, Zhen, and Dui. The 8 directions were connected to each other, forming 64 small directions. Finally, they formed a dazzling divine ring. Du Xiaofu's figure appeared in the middle. His black hair was shining behind his head. He was like a holy spirit in the sky, emitting a terrifying aura. His aura was sharper than a sky pride's and gentler than a prime's. But compared to a sky pride's and a prime's, his aura was even more powerful. It's the Demon King, Du Xiaofu. He's appeared again. And there are people from the legalism, dragons, and school of vertical and horizontal. At this moment, the entire Chenhuang mainland was in an uproar. The Demon King, Du Xiaofu, who had not been seen for a long time, appeared again. There were hundreds of experts from the legalism, dragons, and school of vertical and horizontal. Oh my God, isn't that Li Chenfa from the legalism, Long Teng from the dragons, and Gong Sanhua from the school of vertical and horizontal? The most shocking thing was that Long Teng of the Dragon Clan, Li Chenfa of the school of legalism, and Gong Sanhua of the school of vertical and horizontal, the 3 ancestors, all appeared in the divine dominion. And at this moment, Li Chenfa, Gong Sanhua, and Long Teng were clearly on the mountain peak. Many people were shocked. That's not their real bodies. That's a primordial spirit avatar of Li Chenfa and the other 2. One of their primordial spirit avatars has entered the divine dominion for the Demon King, Du Xiaofu. They want to kill the Demon King, Du Xiaofu. Their primordial spirit avatars are not much weaker than their real bodies. How did they get in? The true dragon horn of the dragons can resist some of the suppression in the divine dominion. The dragons must have some sort of treasure to help them. Discussions broke out all around. Immediately, some experts saw the truth. Li Chenfa and the other 2 were primordial spirit avatars and not their real bodies. It's a primordial spirit avatar. The old lady's expression suddenly changed. No wonder the school of legalism had remained quiet for so long. As it turned out, the school of legalism, the school of vertical and horizontal, and the dragon clan had actually secretly made arrangements long ago. They had used Li Qinfa and the other's souls to enter the divine domain, hiding from her prying eyes. Not good, it's Gong Sunhua, Li Qinfa, and Long Ting's avatars. At this moment, Icy Ink, Xing Hun, and the old man of Sky Ho were also shocked. They did not need to think to know why Li Qinfa and the other's primordial spirit avatars had entered the divine dominion. Li Qinfa, Long Ting, Gong Sunhua, you want to use your primordial spirit avatars to kill my grandson? Shameless fools. Do you think I don't exist? Her voice was like rolling thunder, piercing through clouds and cracking rocks. The old granny was enraged. Veins popped out on her aged face, and her eyes shot out a sharp golden light. Boom! Boom! In an instant, the old granny's body was surrounded by a dazzling golden light. It was as if a golden flood had spread out. Golden talisman inscriptions flickered, and a blazing light swept across the heavens and the earth, carrying a domineering and fierce aura. Screech! The old granny's shriek pierced through the clouds. The old granny's hunched body instantly transformed into a huge golden winged rock. Golden light spread out from her wings, and her body was thousands of feet long. Her entire body shone with golden light and a fierce aura spread out, threatening to destroy the void. This was the old granny's terrifying real body. When she spread her wings, it was as if she could make the stars fall. The mountains and rivers around her exploded, and a powerful aura spread out from her body, causing all the demonic beasts on the Chenhuang mainland to roar and grovel on the ground. The terrifying aura of a supreme beast was unstoppable. Heavens! Is this the power of a real golden-winged rock? Countless pairs of eyes looked up at the terrifying golden-winged rock. It was hard to imagine how powerful and terrifying it was. They gasped, and their hair stood on end. They wanted to bow down and worship it. If you dare to touch my grandson, I will kill your entire clan. The old granny's huge real body soared into the sky, distorting space and time. Her wings cut through the void, tearing the void apart. She pounced towards the place where the legalism, dragons, and school of vertical and horizontal were gathered. Wherever she passed, countless small pitch-black spatial cracks burst forth. At the old granny's level of cultivation, once the golden-winged rock's real body was revealed, it resonated with the heavens and earth, and could strike down the stars. This scene was extremely terrifying, as if it was going to destroy the heavens and earth. It instilled fear in people for no reason. How many people could contend against such a peerless golden-winged great peng at this moment? Chapter 1750. All the experts at the domain realm felt a chill run down their spines as well, and their hearts trembled fiercely with terror. Elder Daipai, Ink of Ice, and old monster Xing Hun looked at each other, then charged out. They were well aware of the old granny's intentions. She wanted to attack Li Qinfa, Long Teng, and the other main bodies so that Li Qinfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua's primordial divinity avatars would give up on fighting Devil King Du Xiaofu. Legalism, dragons, the school of vertical and horizontal is really shameless. Old monster Xing Hun, Ink of Ice, and Elder Daipai all charged out. Wherever old monster Xing Hun passed, the qi of yin and yang swirled. Ink of Ice filled the air, and the mist turned into ice that froze the void. Elder Daipai took to the air. Wherever he passed, the earth rumbled, and the surrounding mountains collapsed. Kill! At the same time, the great golden-winged rock clan's first elder, second elder, third elder, and fourth elder, as well as the experts from the school of Moism, the school of yin-yang, and the school of agriculture all charged out. In the blink of an eye, a great battle had erupted. Qin Tianshi, Li Qinfa, Gong Sunhua, and Long Teng's expressions changed drastically. Originally, they had only wanted to kill Du Xiaofu in the divine domain at lightning speed. They had not planned on completely falling out with the golden-winged great rocks and the farmer family at this time. However, Li Chunfa and the others didn't expect that Du Xiaofu's cultivation and strength in the space of the god domain had already shocked them greatly. Just as their primordial soul avatars were in shock, Du Xiaofu was able to make that scene appear clearly on the Chenhuang mainland, provoking Garuda to attack in rage. Fight! This battle was unavoidable. Long Teng, Gong Sunhua, Li Chunfa, and the others all shouted at the same time. At the same time, Qin Tianshi and Li Chunfa also attacked. The talisman runes around them exploded, and together with the momentum, it was as if they had turned into two worlds. They could overturn the heavens, reverse the universe, and reveal the sun, moon, and stars as they joined forces to fight the old lady. The old lady's main body had already rushed over. She used the most tyrannical method to tear apart the void with a flap of her wings. It was as if numerous pitch-black spatial cracks were descending, extending into the surrounding space, striking down the stars and tearing apart the void. This kind of confrontation caused the heavens to tremble and the universe to shake. At the same time, Old Man Di Pai, Old Monster Xing Hun, and Icing Ink were fighting against the dragon's soaring dragon and the school of vertical and horizontal's Gong Sunhua. Kill, GG, in the blink of an eye, the great elder of the golden-winged great rocks transformed into their true forms and streaked across the sky, blotting out the sun as they charged towards the legalism, dragons, and other disciples. Roar, rumble, adding on the experts from the school of Moism, the school of Yin-Yang, and the school of agriculture, an earth-shaking battle broke out. Bang, 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 explosions rang out continuously on the battlefield. The vast mountains were blasted apart, the mountain peaks collapsed, and the heavens fell and the earth cracked. It's terrible. On the Chenhuang continent, the surrounding experts immediately retreated, not daring to be caught in the crossfire. They sucked in a breath of cold air and shivered. Especially at this moment, when the old lady of the golden-winged great rocks, Li Chunfa, Qin Tianshi, Gong Sunhua, and Icing Ink were fighting, how terrifying was that? These top experts could split mountains and rivers with a raise of their hands and turn into a great calamity. It was horrifying. There were also living beings who watched the earth-shattering battle erupt in an instant, their hearts surging with emotions. At this moment, the ones who felt the most uncomfortable were Li Chunfa, Gong Sunhua, and Soaring Dragon. In the Divine Dominion, Soaring Dragon, Li Chunfa, and Gong Sunhua's avatars were suddenly distorted by the void. They were enveloped by the strange 8 trigrams in the void, and their expressions changed drastically. The aura made them feel terrified and uneasy. Du Xiaofu was in the air, purplish gold electric arcs rippling behind him, golden light flashing. Above the 8 trigrams, a vision appeared in the sky. The mighty aura was like the waves of the ocean, and the terrifying aura shook the heavens of the abyss. At this moment, the 200 dragons, legalism, and school of vertical and horizontal experts and disciples who were innocently trapped in Du Xiaofu's 8 trigrams in the void were filled with fear. Their souls trembled, and their bodies trembled. Even with their cultivation level and strength, they were completely helpless in Du Xiaofu's 8 trigrams in the void. Above the 8 trigrams, a vision appeared in the void. Mountains and lakes moved, golden light flashed, lightning flashed, mist drifted, and flames rose. For the 200 or so disciples of legalism, dragons, and school of vertical and horizontal, they felt a destructive power creeping up from the depths of their primordial spirits. It was the fear of death. They could feel the aura of death. Above Kuan, below Li, earth fire bright barbarian break. Above Qian, below Dui, heavenly lake trigrams break. Yes. Above Qian, below Li, heavenly fire barbarian break. Du Xiaofu did not stop and directly made his move. There was no need to be soft-hearted or polite when dealing with the dragons, legalism, and school of vertical and horizontal. Du Xiaofu condensed a series of strange hand seals, and the 8 trigrams changed. In an instant, flames burned heaven and earth, stars appeared, mountains and rivers moved, the void collapsed, and the aura was destroyed. Heaven and earth resonated and surged. Under this terrifying power, the void trembled and was on the verge of collapse. Bang, 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 the surrounding void collapsed inch by inch and was annihilated. Even the surroundings of the abyss were torn apart, and cracks climbed up the ground. Ah, help, Patriarch, save me! Patriarch, save me, save me! The screams and wails were incomparably mournful, making one's hair stand on end. Bang, bang, bang! In an instant, the 8 trigrams turned into a demonic killing field. The 200 experts and disciples of legalism screamed and wailed. Given their strength, how could they possibly be able to resist the 8 trigrams diagram that Du Xiaofu had activated with his half-step nirvana stage cultivation? The 8 trigrams formed by the 8 trigrams was Du Xiaofu's strongest trump card, besides the purple thunder profound cauldron. These people's meridians and souls were exploding, and their bodies were cracking. Some of their primordial spirits tried to escape, but they could not escape the 8 trigrams. Their bodies and souls were destroyed, and blood splattered everywhere. The experts and disciples of the 3 great clans were crying for help, hoping that their powerful elders could save them. They hoped that it was their patriarch. Unfortunately, these people did not know that Li Qinfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua were trapped in Du Xiaofu's 8 trigrams in the void, and could not escape. Li Qinfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua, these 3 doppelgangers, finally realized how terrifying Du Xiaofu was. They were truly uneasy. Bang, 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 within the 8 trigrams, the people of the 3 families kept exploding, as if they were ants. It was a shocking sight. Oh my God, the demon king Du Xiaofu is on a killing spree again. Du Xiaofu's 8 trigrams. What kind of terrifying technique is that? It's too terrifying. When the people on the Chenhuang mainland saw the scene that appeared in the divine domain, their hair stood on end as they looked up. Their throats were dry, and they swallowed hard. Rumble, the experts of the 3 families were not ordinary. Some of them had many tricks up their sleeves. They soared into the sky, trying to escape. It was quite effective. But they were too weak. Compared to the current Du Xiaofu, these experts from the 3 clans who had entered the divine domain were too weak. They could not break free completely and were immediately blocked by Du Xiaofu's 8 trigrams. Du Xiaofu just stood in the center of the 8 trigrams. His hand seals were formed, and the 8 trigrams mysteries were activated. No one could escape. Du Xiaofu was on a killing spree, showing no mercy. This was also why Du Xiaofu was on a killing spree in front of the outside world. He wanted to leave no one alive. Du Xiaofu, I'll fight you to the death, you little piece of shit. This killing spree killed many dragons. Long Teng was enraged. His primordial spirit doppelganger transformed into a white cloud dragon. He could fly through the 8 trigrams in the void, his dragon claws waving. His dragon's might was unparalleled, and his dragon's breath rolled. Roar! The dragon's roar shook the heavens and the earth. With a vast momentum, the dragon's claws tore through the void, covering a large area, and rushed out to grab Du Xiaofu. A dragon-soul doppelganger was suppressed in the divine domain, but at this moment, it was enough to prove Long Teng's strength. The dragon's might was torrential. As an ancestor of the dragons, Long Teng's doppelganger was already so powerful. Du Xiaofu counterattacked. His purple robe fluttered, and his whole body glowed. His hand seals were formed, and with a thought, a huge mountain peak materialized from the 8 trigrams. It directly collided with the giant dragon's shadow formed by Long Teng. Accompanied by the saint's might, the void was hazy. Boom! This collision caused the void to tremble. Even someone as powerful as Long Teng was pushed back. Roar, however, the dragon roared in the void. In an instant, Long Tingyin's dragon body turned around. Its huge tail soared into the sky, its head was raised vertically, and it opened its ferocious mouth. On its slightly illusory dragon body, the dragon's dragon eyes were as bright as stars as it pounced towards Du Xiaofu. Heaven above and earth below, heavenly thunder destruction. Boom! Du Xiaofu's mind stirred and the 8 trigrams diagram surged with surging waves. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled as heavenly thunder rolled. Runes interweaved resplendently and traversed across the universe. Bolts of lightning descended like heavenly thunder, bringing with them the chi of extreme yang. They were the nemesis of primordial spirits and directly blasted Long Tingyan's dragon body away, causing the runes to dim. Bastard! But at this moment, Gong Sun Hua's attack arrived. With a flick of his sleeve, his body was covered in flames. In an instant, the roaring flames engulfed the void. This was no ordinary fire. It was enough to dry a cultivator's body, shatter his bones, and destroy his soul. This was Gong Sun Hua's profound meaning of fire, the divine fire of Shaoyang. This level of fire was too terrifying. It could destroy everything, including the void. The terrifying flames boiled the void and drowned everything. Gong Sun Hua was very powerful, so powerful that he was no weaker than Long Teng. Even from across the void, one could feel the terrifying power of the flames. It could burn one's skin, shrivel one's primordial spirit, and make one gasp. But Du Xiaofu was not afraid. If Du Xiaofu had met Gong Sun Hua when he was not suppressed, Du Xiaofu might have been a little wary. But now that Gong Sun Hua was suppressed, Du Xiaofu was not afraid. Chapter 1751. As everyone watched, the purple gold thunder rock destroyed the world created by Li Qinfa's spell. The purple gold thunder rock was like a storm, destroying everything. Whoosh, the purple thunder rock rushed out, flapping its wings. The rock's claws tore through the void, shining brightly as they grabbed the cloud dragon. The void was torn apart, and talisman patterns intertwined, tearing the cloud dragon apart. Du Xiaofu's figure flew out, his eyes glowing with purple gold light. His black hair flowed like electric arcs, and his entire body glowed with light. He was like a real demon king, his aura shocking the heavens. Boom! Du Xiaofu made his move. With a shake of his arm, the illusory saber formation in his palm flew out. Hundreds of saber auras soared into the sky and filled the void. The saber auras broke through the void. Together with the 8 trigrams and the 9 palaces and 6 directions as the foundation, the cracks of the pitch-black saber auras were suffused with a light that made one's heart palpitate. During this period, as Du Xiaofu's cultivation improved, the illusory saber formation became several times stronger. At this moment, the saber auras filled the void. There were 6,000 to 7,000 of them. How terrifying! Whoosh whoosh, therefore, wherever the saber formation passed, the saber auras cut through the void. Gong Sun Hua's terrifying flaming phoenix illusion was shattered by the saber formation, turning into a sea of flames that rained down on the void. Under the joint attack of 3 top-notch Grandmaster-level masters, the vast destructive force was destroyed by Du Xiaofu as easily as lifting a finger. Oh my God, Demon King Du Xiaofu is so strong. On the Qinhuang mainland, everyone looked up with trembling eyes. It was the clones of 3 great ancestor-level powerhouses, and the combined attack of the 3 of them, but it was so weak that Du Xiaofu easily neutralized it. They were Grandmaster Li Qinfa of Legalism, Grandmaster Long Ting of the Dragons, and Grandmaster Gong Sun Hua of the School of Vertical and Horizontal. Any one of them was a top-notch master, and any one of them had the power to defeat Kyushu. However, at this moment, even though these 3 top experts were only clones, they were still working together to deal with Du Xiaofu, a junior who had risen not long ago. Yet, they were still being suppressed. To them, this was simply an absolute humiliation. You 3 old fogies are not that strong. Du Xiaofu said as he stepped on the 8 trigrams. The purple gold thunder rock rocks, purple gold thunder rock, Purple Gold Thunder Rock. Purple Gold Thunder. Li Chenfa, Li Li, Long, and Gong Sanhua. Li 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 Li, Li 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 Li. Some of the experts on the Chenhuang mainland side. Li Chenfa and the other two peerless characters of the current era were being looked down upon by Du Xiaofu even after joining forces. This was probably the first time in history that something like this had happened. However, at this moment, everyone present knew that this was all because the demon king Du Xiaofu was too powerful. He was so powerful that he could actually look down on Li Chenfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sanhua. Half-step reincarnation nirvana. Demon King Du Xiaofu has stepped into half-step reincarnation. He is only half a step away from reincarnation nirvana. On a mountain peak in the distance, a super-strong cultivator looked at the void revealed by the divine dominion. He could feel Du Xiaofu's cultivation aura at this moment, and his eyes shone with a divine light. What a monster! On a mountain peak, an old figure stood in the air, his heart trembling. This kind of breakthrough speed was shocking to the world. At this moment, the living beings on the Chenhuang mainland were shocked as they looked at the miraculous purple-robed man in the divine dominion. Whoosh, Li Chenfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sanhua's doppelgangers were pushed back, their eyes filled with shock. At this moment, they finally realized that the Du Xiaofu they had looked down upon before was already so powerful. Old man, your doppelgangers must die. Du Xiaofu took the initiative to attack. The real rock wings on his back spread out and swept across the void. The talisman runes exploded, and the huge purple gold thunder rock under his feet disappeared. His wings streaked across the void like a divine rainbow, and he quickly chased after Long Teng's cloud dragon body, which was the largest in size. Bang! Long Teng fought with all his strength, but the huge cloud dragon shadow was still sent flying, as if it was no match for him at all. In reality, Li Chenfa and the other doppelgangers were indeed no match for him. The auras of their doppelgangers were suppressed to the Grand Dominion realm by the Divine Dominion. It was difficult for them to even reach the peak of the Grand Dominion realm. Du Xiaofu had not reached the peak of the Nirvana realm, but he had already defeated the doppelgangers in the light screen. He could be said to be invincible in the same realm. Moreover, Du Xiaofu was already half a step away from the Nirvana realm. The power of his primordial spirit and the celestial qi in his god's watchtower had increased dramatically. Most importantly, Du Xiaofu had already reached the immeasurable Nirvana realm. His combat strength had increased by more than just a little. Furthermore, there was the influence of the 8 trigrams. With Du Xiaofu's current strength, he could easily crush the doppelgangers of Li Chenfa and the other two without even using the immeasurable Nirvana realm. Oh no, we miscalculated. We are suppressed in the Divine Dominion. We can't do anything to this little bastard. Let's get out of here. As Long Teng was pushed back again, Gong Sanhua shouted. His old face was filled with hatred. This result made it clear to Gong Sanhua and the others that they had failed once again. They had miscalculated. Li Chenfa and the rest took everything into account, but they did not estimate that Du Xiaofu's breakthrough speed would be so fast. As for them, they were suppressed by the space of the divine domain. Because of this, they were suppressed by Du Xiaofu. Let's get out of here first, quick. The 3 of them were afraid. If something happened to their doppelgangers, their true bodies would be severely injured. Their primordial spirit doppelgangers were not simply formed from the power of the primordial spirit. They were real primordial spirit doppelgangers that were connected to the primordial spirit of their true bodies. There could be no accidents. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, in an instant, the 3 of them communicated telepathically. The talisman patterns on their bodies burned. Boundless energy surged and exploded. They wanted to break free from the control of Du Xiaofu's 8 trigrams. Let's get out of here first, then think about what to do next. You want to escape? Too bad it's too late. Du Xiaofu stepped into the void. His hand seals changed. How could he let these 3 primordial spirit doppelgangers escape so easily? Rumble, the 8 trigrams rumbled. The vision became more intense and dazzling. It was as if a whole world had appeared and connected together. It was dazzling and shocking. The vast power trapped Li Qianfa and the others. "Little bastard, you can't trap us!" Li Qianfa shouted angrily. The coldness in his eyes shot to the sky. Rumble, the bodies of the 3 avatars were burning, and a terrifying aura poured out like a waterfall. They emitted a light that was like the aura of chaos, and they really wanted to break free from the suppression of Du Xiaofu's 8 trigrams. But Du Xiaofu was still attacking. His hand seals changed. When the last seal was formed, a silver-gold electric arc shot out, releasing a violent and destructive aura. Boom! Boom! Another wave of supreme being pressure descended. In an instant, the sky was filled with silver-gold thunderbolts that swept out and spread across the void. The aura of the electric arc was ancient. It was accompanied by the aura of the 4 types of spiritual lightning, the silver silk soul-devouring thunder, earth-shattering thunder, soul-extinguishing thunder, and golden crow sky-burning thunder. There was also a terrifying spiritual root aura. These were the 4 types of spiritual lightning that Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit doppelgangers and the mysterious spiritual root. Lightning flashed in the sky. The silver-gold electric arc spread in all directions. It was so bright that it covered the sky and the sun. There was an ancient and domineering aura. It was desolate and magnificent. It could not be provoked and contained violent destruction. Rumble, when the 4 types of spiritual lightning appeared in the void, lightning flashed and thunder roared. It shook the Qinhuang mainland. Thunder rumbled in all directions as if it was going to destroy the world. The fusion of spiritual lightning was the nemesis of primordial spirits. The silver silk soul devouring thunder was the nemesis of all nemeses of primordial spirits. The surrounding spiritual lightning, the spiritual root of my legalism, and Han Qianran's soul-extinguishing thunder have also been fused by that little bastard. Li Qianfa's primordial spirit doppelganger trembled. He immediately caught the aura of the soul-extinguishing thunder. But at this moment, after the fusion of the 4 types of spiritual lightning, talisman runes exploded in the sky. They spread across the void and filled the sky. An ancient and domineering aura spread. It was the aura of a true sovereign that could not be resisted. It was not to be provoked, and it was also to be destroyed. Long Teng, Li Qianfa, and Gong Sunhua's primordial spirit doppelgangers were trapped and suppressed. They were also enveloped by the surrounding spiritual lightning. Rumble, lightning flashed and thunder roared. The waterfall of spiritual lightning morphed into a giant silver-gold electric tree that was deeply embedded in the 8 trigrams diagram. The silver-gold electric tree was accompanied by a majestic and desolate aura. The aura of the electric tree was like that of a supreme being. Electric arcs filled the void. Countless electric roots grew and sprouted. They enveloped Long Teng, Li Qianfa, and Gong Sunhua, absorbing the energy of their primordial spirits. Then, to everyone's astonishment, a shocking scene appeared in the sky. Li Qianfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua's primordial spirits were swallowed up by the silver-gold electric tree. Then, their bodies began to fade, and finally, they were enveloped by the silver-gold electric arcs. Du Xiaofu, you little bastard. I'm not done with you. I'm not done with you. I'll never let you go. Li Qianfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua's terrified voices rang out. Their voices were filled with unparalleled hatred. Their primordial spirit doppelgangers cursed and cursed as they were swallowed up by the silver-gold electric tree. On the Qinhuang mainland, Li Qianfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua, who were fighting fiercely with the old madam, Bing Mo, and the others, suddenly spat out mouthfuls of blood. Their faces turned ashen. With their primordial spirit doppelgangers destroyed, their true bodies were severely injured. It would be difficult for them to improve in the future. Yi Wuming, Tang Meiling, and the mysterious Drake King were stunned speechless at the shocking scene in the sky. Chapter 1752. On the Qinhuang mainland, there was dead silence. Everyone was stunned. Li Qinfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua, the three primordial spirit avatars of ancestors, were destroyed by Du Xiaofu just like that. The heavens were about to change, and the hearts of all the top powerhouses present were filled with great waves of shock. At this moment, the elders and disciples of the school of legalism, dragons, and school of vertical and horizontal were even more shocked. Even their ancestors' primordial spirit avatars were so weak in front of Du Xiaofu. Ha 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 ha, go for wool and come home shorn. This is retribution. The old lady's body covered the void as golden light soared into the sky. She had been spying on the movements in the divine domain and was naturally clear about it. At this moment, she was indescribably happy. Taking advantage of the fact that Li Qinfa was heavily injured, she attacked Li Qinfa and Qin Tian madly, destroying the vast land and overturning the sky. Gong Sunhua, Soaring Dragon, and Old Man Di Pai, Xiao Yu had mistakenly written Old Man Di Pai as Old Man Di Pai in many places in the previous chapter. Now that everything has been corrected, I apologize to everyone. Icy Ink, and old monster Xing Hun naturally wouldn't miss this opportunity. Garuda, must you fight to the death? You won't have it easy either. Qin Tianshi and Li Qinfa shouted in the face of the old lady's Garuda attack. Their auras surged wildly. They were ready to fight to the death. Di Chu, Xing Hun, Icy Ink, you dare to attack. You won't have a good ending either. The heavily injured Gong Sunhua shouted angrily. Flames burned her body, and her aura rose. Roar! A dragon's roar resounded. Long Ting's huge dragon body soared into the sky, and a resplendent dragon claw appeared in front of him. The golden light was dazzling, and there seemed to be a golden dragon circling above the dragon claw. The awe-inspiring dragon aura attracted the attention of all the top experts present. The entire Qinhuang mainland was shaking. True dragon claw. Someone in the void gasped in surprise. That terrifying dragon might was too strong. They recognized that it was the dragon's most precious treasure, the true dragon's claw. They didn't expect Long Teng to even bring that treasure out. The resplendent golden light and the resounding dragon roar were indeed the true dragon claws of dragons. It was by relying on this true dragon claw that Long Teng secretly placed the three primordial spirit avatars on the bodies of the powerhouses of the three clans and quietly brought them into the divine domain. Retreat. The huge golden-winged rock's body retreated and turned into an old woman's body. It was about time. The old lady did not intend to fight legalism to the bitter end. Her grandson did not suffer any losses at all. Instead, he gained the upper hand by killing Li Qinfa's primordial spirit avatars. There was no need to fight Li Qinfa to the death. It's the true dragon's claw. Retreat. When they saw that Gong Sunhua was defeated to the end, and that Long Teng actually had the true dragon's claw, Icy Ink, Elder Daipai, and old freak Xing Hun immediately retreated and stopped fighting. The School of Agriculture, Golden-Winged Rock Clan, School of Moism, and School of Yin-Yang also retreated and stopped fighting legalism. The fierce battle came quickly and ended just as quickly. Whoosh! As Li Qinfa and the other two primordial spirit avatars were swallowed, in the divine domain, the giant silver-gold lightning tree also turned into an electric arc and returned to Du Xiaofu's forehead. The 8 trigrams in the void dissipated. The terrifying energy in the sky also stopped abruptly and dissipated into nothingness. Du Xiaofu floated in the void, the real rock's golden wings spread behind his back. His entire body exuded an indescribable pressure. His gaze was like lightning as he looked at the Qinhuang mainland and pointed at Li Qinfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua, who were vomiting blood. You 3 old fools, I'll destroy your avatars first. When I come out, I'll wash my neck clean and chop off your heads and kick them around like balls. His voice thundered and resounded through the void. They were directly pointing at 3 old ancestor-level powerhouses. Their peerlessly domineering aura was something that no one in the same generation could compare to. As soon as he finished speaking, the ancient runes in the space of the god domain began to fade. The mirage-like void of the abyss also gradually disappeared and returned to normal. In the void, Li Chunfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua's eyes twitched and their faces contorted. No one knew whether it was because of their injuries or because they were angered by Du Xiaofu, but they spat out blood again, staining their robes red. Huff. The entire Chenhuang mainland was still a little quiet. Gradually, the sound of people inhaling cold breaths could be heard. For the disciples and experts of legalism, dragons, and the school of vertical and horizontal, they were all at a loss. They could not accept and believe that the primordial spirit avatars of the elders were also killed by Du Xiaofu and were severely injured. Legalism, school of vertical and horizontal, and dragons have fallen again. The younger generation is almost wiped out. Now, Li Chunfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua's primordial spirit avatars are destroyed and their foundations are damaged. This Du Xiaofu is the nemesis of legalism, school of vertical and horizontal, and dragons. Looks like the fortunes of legalism, school of vertical and horizontal, and dragons are about to fall. The rise of the desolate nation means that someone has to fall. Some of the top experts discussed and sighed. Who would have thought that Du Xiaofu is already half a step away from nirvana? Even without entering the supreme tomb, it looks like he's still got a great opportunity. Such a speed of breakthrough is too monstrous. Old Man Di Pai, Icy Ink, and Old Monster Xing Hun retreated and were also discussing and exclaiming in their hearts. Today's scene was destined to shock the world. Originally, no matter how shocked everyone was about Du Xiaofu, they were still just juniors. Even though Du Xiaofu had killed an existence like Qin Wudi and shocked everyone, the first thing that came to everyone's mind was that Du Xiaofu was the #1 person of his generation. But at this moment, Li Chunfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua's primordial spirit avatars were destroyed. Du Xiaofu pointed at Li Chunfa and the other 2 and threatened to kill their true bodies. Only then did the world truly realize that the demon king Du Xiaofu had completely risen in this short period of time to the point where he could compete with the top experts of the world. Quietly, the demon king Du Xiaofu had completely shocked the world by killing the 3 primordial spirit avatars of Li Chunfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua. From today onwards, no one would treat Du Xiaofu as a junior anymore. The demon king Du Xiaofu had completely risen, which also meant that the desolate country had completely risen. The abyss was a mess, and everything within 1,000 miles had been turned into ruins. Du Xiaofu's figure landed, and his face was a little pale. That was due to exhaustion, but it wasn't a big deal. Thunder Eagle King, Mian Meng King, help me do something. Pass down the order to kill all the dragons, legalism, and school of vertical and horizontal in the divine domain. Leave no one alive. After Du Xiaofu's figure landed, he said to Thunder Eagle King and Mian Meng King. The divine domain might close and disappear, and there were still a few scattered legalism, school of vertical and horizontal, and dragons inside. Once they left, it wouldn't be so easy to kill them, and they wouldn't have such an advantage. No problem. Thunder Eagle King and Mian Meng King nodded. I'm going into seclusion for a few days. Help me stand guard. Du Xiaofu said to Mo Tianxiao. Then, he brought the injured Yi Wuming, mysterious dragon king, Tang Meiling, Ji Zhiyan, and the others into the desolate ancient space. They found a cave nearby and began their seclusion. Li Chunfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua's primordial spirit avatars could enter the divine domain, and perhaps others could as well. Du Xiaofu had to be on guard and maintain his peak condition at all times. Most importantly, Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit had devoured Li Chunfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sunhua's primordial spirit avatars with the silver net soul devouring lightning talent. To Du Xiaofu, This was a vast and unparalleled primordial spirit energy. He had yet to completely refine it, and problems could arise at any time. Therefore, Du Xiaofu didn't dare to stay. He immediately entered the desolate ancient space, intending to refine the 3 primordial spirit avatars as soon as possible. Although Li Qinfa and the other 2's primordial spirit avatars were suppressed in the divine domain, the 3 primordial spirit avatars themselves were true primordial spirit avatars of master domain realm experts. Li Qinfa and the other 2's strength were suppressed in the divine domain, but their primordial spirit avatars were truly powerful. Any one of Li Qinfa and the other 2's primordial spirit avatars was enough to make a half-step rebirth nirvana realm cultivator unable to withstand it. Although a supreme nirvana realm expert was basically equivalent to an ordinary martial domain realm expert or a 9-star spirit symbol master. However, a primordial spirit avatar of Li Qinfa's level was definitely stronger than the primordial spirit of an ordinary half-step rebirth nirvana realm expert. Moreover, there were 3 equally terrifying massive primordial spirit avatars being devoured by Du Xiaofu at the same time. However, Du Xiaofu wasn't an ordinary half-step rebirth nirvana realm expert, especially in terms of primordial spirit energy. Originally, Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit energy was comparable to a freakish physical body, but he didn't have many opportunities to use it in the past. Chapter 1753. After fusing 4 spiritual lightnings, in addition to the strengthening of his Naiwan Palace and primordial spirit during the immeasurable nirvana process, Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit power was definitely not something that an ordinary cultivator of the same level could compare with. However, devouring 3 powerful soul core clones at the Overlord realm at this moment caused Du Xiaofu's Naiwan Palace to feel as if it was on the verge of exploding. If the energy of those soul cores were to surge, then it would be extremely dangerous. Du Xiaofu sat with his legs crossed in the hazy ancient space. He used the talent of the Silvernet soul-devouring thunder in his soul to completely refine and fuse with the power of the souls he had devoured. Du Xiaofu circulated the mysterious incomplete cultivation method. White light rippled around him like divine white light, giving off an ancient presence. Although the 3 essence soul avatars were powerful and vigorous, they did not put Du Xiaofu in danger. As Du Xiaofu refined them, the 3 overlord clones that Du Xiaofu had devoured slowly turned into even purer energy. They surged into Du Xiaofu's red-bottomed horse monkey's body that had fused with his Yuan spirit and bloodline soul. The 9 revolutions divine Lei Lian revolved as the red-bone horse monkey sat there. Silver-gold arcs of lightning crackled around him as he radiated with the presence of a sovereign. He seemed like a god as his presence gradually strengthened. This was the direct strengthening of the soul. Cultivators found it the hardest to cultivate the power of the soul, but Du Xiaofu's soul had directly risen in strength. All of this was due to the assistance of the clones from Li Qinfa, Gong Sanhua, and Gong Sanhua. At this moment, if Li Qinfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sanhua knew that they had paid a heavy price and lost a Yuan spirit clone, and not only had they failed to kill Du Xiaofu, but they had also strengthened Du Xiaofu's Yuan spirit, they would probably vomit blood from anger. As Du Xiaofu went into seclusion to refine the primordial divinity he had devoured, the Thunderhawk King and King Miameng had arranged for countless ancient demon beasts to search for the people of legalism, school of vertical and horizontal, as well as the dragons. Once they found them, they would immediately kill them. However, at this time, there weren't many people left in the divine dominion from the legalism, the dragons, and the school of vertical and horizontal. Under the influence of these ancient demonic beasts, many disciples of the desolate nation, the demonic beasts of the heavenly beast hall, the disciples of the mysterious charm sect, the mysterious underworld sect, and the ancient heaven sect, as well as the experts who had entered, gathered around Du Xiaofu. Space, ancient, boundless. The vigorous mountain peak floated in mid-air, shrouded in golden light. Its terrifying aura was overwhelming, as if it could suppress all demons. As the mountain rotated, it successively emitted strands of golden light, and the golden talisman markings seemed to have evolved and bloomed, causing space to be dazzling and resplendent. Rumble, suddenly, heavenly music resounded endlessly, like heavenly drums and heavy hammers, accompanied by the sound of wind and thunder. Within the golden mountain peak, a red-bone horse-ape walked out, its body wrapped in multicolored light as it roared at the heavens. Roar, the golden talisman markings on the red-bone horse-ape's body evolved, communicating with the heavens and earth. Its aura was like the beginning of the world, the beginning of all things. Rumble, suddenly, 10 divine rings appeared in mid-air, enveloping the red-bone horse-ape. A terrifying aura rippled, causing the surrounding mountains to rumble and crack, and the heavens and earth to change color. This kind of perfection isn't true perfection. Suddenly, the red-bone horse-ape looked at the golden sky and muttered. Then, the 10 divine rings above its head rumbled, the resplendent light causing the space to become chaotic and dazzling. Finally, they began to slowly merge together. Rumble, at this moment, the ancient space trembled, and heavenly music resounded endlessly, as if the universe was about to be turned upside down. Then, the 10 divine rings overlapped, emitting a dazzling light, and finally, they merged together. I am me, not the heavens, not the earth, not the gods, not the humans, not the ghosts. I am also not the fishes, scales, feathers, or koan. I am the red-bone horse-ape, born to be supreme, and I am already at perfection. Nirvana or not, it doesn't matter to me. The red-bone horse-ape raised its head, and its golden spirit eyes shone, like dazzling golden lightning shooting into the heavens. Rumble, at this instant, the 10 divine rings that had fused together turned into a huge golden spatial vortex that descended from the sky. Along with the golden runes that filled the sky, they continuously surged into the red-bone horse-monkey's body, causing the surrounding space to fluctuate violently. Roar, the red-bone horse-ape roared, and the aura of the beginning of the world rippled through the heavens and earth, causing the earth to tremble and the heavens to shake. At this moment, somewhere outside of the Chen Huang mainland, there was a vast plain surrounded by clouds, as if it had reached the end of the world. This place was deathly silent, and even time seemed to have frozen, faintly revealing a cold silence. This seemed to be a pure land that did not belong to the mortal world, and all living things could not set foot in it. A palace that was floating in the air mysteriously appeared. There was nothing holding it up, and there were no traces of talisman arrays, as if it was a miracle. Outside the palace, a middle-aged man in plain robes formed a seal with his hands, and there was an ancient bronze mirror in his hands that was filled with talisman markings. Within the bronze mirror, a strange scene appeared. An ancient and boundless space appeared, and there was a red-bone horse-ape roaring into the sky, and golden light flooded the void. Red-bone horse-ape, Nirvana, is this another variable? The middle-aged man spoke, and his aura was ethereal. He stood outside the door of the palace, as if he was the ruler of this world. His eyes looked at the changes in the bronze mirror, and ripples appeared in his eyes, as if he was thinking about something. Every action of his seemed to have merged with this space, and the expression on his face was calm and subtle. In the ancient and boundless space, after a long time, the shocking commotion finally calmed down. The golden light slowly dissipated, and everything returned to normal. The crystal-clear red-bone horse-ape then turned into a young man in golden robes, and walked out. He had handsome features, and his entire body emitted an aura of a king that could shake the world. Just a little bit more to break through the nirvana stage, just a little bit more. The young man in golden robes had a head of golden hair that reached his shoulders, and he was skinny and tall. Under his thick eyebrows were a pair of bright golden eyes, and there seemed to be some regret in them. But then, a smile appeared on his face, and the smile of his eyes seemed to be able to steal one's soul. He said, "I wonder how Du Xiaofu is doing now. This time, the big brother position should be mine." Laughter rang out, and the young man in golden robes shook his long sleeves. He was handsome and outstanding, and he had the aura of a king that could rule the world. Then, his figure disappeared into the void. In the divine domain, in the ancient and boundless space, in a misty void, a strange dragon was entrenched, and its body was rippling with golden flames. This strange dragon was astonishing, and it spread its wings like a phoenix. Starlight rippled, and golden light shone resplendently. The black tortoise divine shell on its back was suffused with an ink-black radiance, and it was completely fusing with its body. Gee! In the void, the cry of a phoenix resounded. In front of the strange dragon, the space fluctuated, and a resplendent seven-colored phoenix shadow appeared, flapping its wings and rising up. This phoenix shadow was too astonishing, as if it had crossed through space and time, causing the space to riot. It was able to suppress space and time, and it wasn't something that the current phoenix could compare with. Chi! Suddenly, the strange dragon's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened, and golden flames spread out. The third vertical eye between its eyebrows had traces of golden flames jumping, and divine light burst out. A ray of light that made one's soul tremble shot out, and it was suffused with a dazzling light. Roar! The three eyes appeared at the same time, and the strange dragon's ferocious roar came out of its mouth, and the sound turned into sound waves that swept across the sky. This was a real dragon's roar, the sound of a real dragon, and it brought with it a terrifying pressure that shook one's soul. At the same time, 9 divine rings appeared above the strange dragon's head, and they shone brilliantly, bringing with them endless sounds of heaven. Above the 9 divine rings, the 10th divine ring condensed, and it was dazzling. Boom! Suddenly, the wind and clouds in the void changed, and heaven and earth trembled. Thick dark clouds rushed over quickly, and violent winds blew. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled, and it caused a strange phenomenon in heaven and earth. In the void, an inexplicable energy in heaven and earth was connected to the strange dragon. Under the shroud of the energy of heaven and earth, the strange dragon's huge body was quietly undergoing a huge change, and it resonated with heaven and earth. Chapter 1754. Dark clouds gathered in the sky as lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Terrifying arcs of lightning spread across the sky as a pressure was released. This pressure came from heaven and earth, mixed with the might of heaven. It was as if it was following the rules of heaven and earth. It was extremely mysterious. At this moment, the runes on the black tortoise divine shell on the dragon's body flashed and spread. It trembled and then began to melt. This kind of melting was not cracking, nor was it fading. It was melting. The black tortoise divine shell melted and connected with the dragon. As the runes flashed, it turned into a thick liquid that flowed into the gaps of the dragon's scales and seeped into the dragon's body. As the golden flames burned, the thick liquid after the black tortoise divine shell melted and spread. The ink-black runes overflowed and covered the dragon's body. Even the dragon claws under its abdomen were completely permeated. On the dragon's body, the golden flames surged and boiled. Countless mysterious runes could be seen connecting to form a mysterious black tortoise pattern that seemed to envelop its entire body. Awu, the energy of heaven and earth shrouded the dragon. At this moment, 10 divine rings appeared above the dragon's head. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled, and there were dragon roars and turtle cries. Then, among the 10 divine rings, 3 of them turned into the shadow of a giant green dragon and 3 of them turned into the shadow of a black tortoise. A moment later, the strange phoenix shadow that caused space-time to become chaotic turned into a blazing divine fire and disappeared into the dragon's forehead. Screech! At the same time, 3 divine fires turned into the shadow of a phoenix above the dragon's head. They were all enveloped in the 10th divine ring. Awu! Screech! For a moment, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. The dragon roared, the phoenix cried, and the turtle cried. The 3 divine beasts galloped. The space trembled and the earth rumbled, causing spacetime to become chaotic. Awu! The dragon roared. A beam of divine light shot into the sky from the dragon's forehead. It shot into the sky and connected with the 10th divine ring, solidifying the space. The energy of heaven and earth rolled and gathered. At this moment, it kept pouring into the dragon's huge body, causing the aura on its body to change significantly. Wu, as the energy of heaven and earth poured in, every dragon's scale was changing. The dragon's roar resounded in the air, containing a pressure that even he could not resist. This kind of pressure came from the heaven and earth and the soul. None of the beasts could resist it. Finally, the three phantoms of the azure dragon, the black tortoise, and the strange phoenix transformed into three streaks of divine light that shot into the dragon's body. The 10th divine ring directly shattered into a rain of light. However, at that moment, the golden flames on the dragon's body had also reached their peak. A terrifying might swept through the entire sky. Rumble, in that instant, the entire divine domain began to tremble. The earth quaked, the mountains swayed, the rivers surged, and the winds and clouds changed. Everyone in the god domain could feel this shocking change. No matter where they were, all of the supreme geniuses in the god domain raised their heads and looked up into the sky, feeling an immense pressure. Wu, the ancient monster beasts in the divine realm roared. They could feel their beast souls trembling and prostrating themselves. A supreme of the beast race has caused a phenomenon of heaven and earth. He's extremely powerful. That's a true supreme. On the cliff, the Thunderhawk King looked up into the sky. His eyes were filled with lightning. The heavenly might that was spreading in the void had already made him tremble. If he was in front of the supreme of the beast race, he was sure that he would not be able to resist the pressure. Who is it that can cause such a phenomenon? The Meng King was trembling. She could not imagine what kind of beast race could make her and the Thunderhawk King, who had undergone nirvana, tremble. Even if it was a dragon or phoenix, the dragons and phoenixes would not be able to make them feel this way. Unless it was a true dragon or a true phoenix that was reborn. In the boundless plains, there was a palace floating in midair. A middle-aged man in plain robes seemed to be the ruler of this world. The ancient bronze mirror in the middle-aged man's hand reflected the shocking scene of the dragon in the vast void. Azure dragon, black tortoise, and the legendary vermilion bird. Why is the origin of this little guy so complicated? Could it be related to Lord Dragon God? The middle-aged man murmured. His eyes were filled with astonishment. That peculiar phoenix was not a phoenix, but a vermilion bird. The vermilion bird that only existed in legends. Caw, as soon as the middle-aged man finished his sentence, the ancient bronze mirror in his hand began to crack and shatter. The scene in the mirror began to disappear. The middle-aged man frowned. He looked at the vast plains and said softly, "The last opening of the divine realm is about to end. The calamity is coming. This world has to be prepared again." Voila, in the boundless space, the phenomenon of heaven and earth had alarmed the entire divine realm. When the sky returned to normal, the colossal body of the dragon was in the sky. At this moment, the colossal body of the dragon was filled with a reddish-gold color. The wings on its back had turned from purple flames to a reddish-gold color. However, upon closer inspection, there were still purple flames within. There were also ripples of starlight and golden light. After a moment of silence, the reddish-gold dragon's body began to shrink. Then, it turned into a little girl of 8 or 9 years old. She was wearing a reddish-purple starlight dress. Her black hair was shiny and her eyes were big and spirited. In the depths of her eyes, there was a faint golden flame dancing. There was an inverted mark in between her eyebrows that made her look mysterious and demonic. Her aura was filled with an unconcealable nobility. The most shocking thing was that the space around the little girl was distorted. The aura on her body had reached an absolutely terrifying level. It was enough to make one's primordial spirit tremble and make one's heart tremble. "Father, Mother, after I help Godfather get rid of the demons in this world, I will look for you." The little girl looked at the sky in front of her. Her eyes glowed with anticipation. Boom, in the sky above the Chenhuang mainland, the space trembled. Light rain began to fluctuate and rumble. The opening of the divine dominion is about to end. The people inside are about to come out. Below the divine dominion, everyone looked up and began to rise. Countless eyes glowed. After such a long time, the divine dominion's final opening was finally about to end. All the geniuses and supremes inside were about to come out, bringing with them countless opportunities and legacies. It was exciting. We must think of a way to get rid of that little bastard. He is already a big problem. If we don't get rid of him, it will lead to a disaster. Li Chenfa, Long Teng, Gong Sanhua, and Li Chenfa stood on the mountain peak, their faces solemn. This time, they had failed to take action personally. This made them realize how serious the situation was. Du Xiaofu's growth was too fast. It was so fast that they had already paid a heavy price. In the divine dominion, in a cave not far from the chaotic abyss. In the ancient barren space, Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged. Ancient white divine light rippled around him. His primordial spirit aura made people tremble. It came from the remnant of the mysterious technique. The 3 primordial spirit avatars that he had devoured were refined into pure primordial spirit energy and merged with his own primordial spirit. In Du Xiaofu's Naiwen Palace, on the 9 revolutions divine Lei Lian, the red-bone horsemonkey's primordial spirit and pulse soul fused together sat cross-legged. Silver-gold lightning rippled and released a terrifying aura. At this moment, if there was an expert who could see this scene, he would be dumbfounded. Such a powerful and terrifying primordial spirit energy was definitely not something a half-step to nirvana stage cultivator could possess. It was simply terrifying. At this moment, just the primordial spirit energy alone was enough for Du Xiaofu to crush a true nirvana stage cultivator. Whoosh, the aura on Du Xiaofu's body was even more powerful and surging. However, in terms of cultivation, it was still stuck at the half-step to nirvana stage and did not improve. At this level of cultivation, if one wanted to improve, it was not just about Xian Qi and primordial spirit. Xian Qi and primordial spirit energy were a part of the breakthrough process, an indispensable part. However, the most important part was comprehension. Countless top experts spent their entire lives, but were unable to improve and met their end. They had a long time, and could even obtain natural treasures to strengthen their Xian Qi and cultivate their primordial spirit. The only thing that was limited was their own comprehension. Huff, a mouthful of turbid air was spat out from Du Xiaofu's mouth. After which, he opened his eyes. The aura around his body fluctuated, filled with lightning arcs and shook the void. I'm still half a step away from nirvana stage, but I'm still missing something, Du Xiaofu muttered softly. After reaching the half-step to nirvana stage in one go, he was obstructed when he wanted to improve. However, Du Xiaofu was not anxious. His recent breakthroughs were already very fast, and too fast might not be a good thing. Moreover, a breakthrough could not be rushed. Perhaps it was a coincidence and he was only missing an opportunity. Once the opportunity arrived, he might directly break through. Then, feeling the primordial spirit energy in his Naiwen palace that had already multiplied, Du Xiaofu's lips curled into a smile. He had always been very strict with himself, but Du Xiaofu could not hide his satisfaction this time. Li Chenfa, Long Teng, and Gong Sanhua could be considered to have brought him great benefits this time. Speaking of which, he had to thank them. Whoosh whoosh, a moment later, Du Xiaofu brought Yi Wuming, Tang Meiling, Ji Jian, Gue Hua, and the others out of the desolate ancient space. Chapter 1755. Inside the barren space, Yi Wuming, Ji Jian, Tang Meiling, and the others had mostly recovered. Greetings, Rock Emperor. Greetings, President. Greetings, Uncle Master Du. Brother Xiaofu. Many people bowed. These days, many disciples of the barren country and the Du clan had gathered. There were also many disciples of the ancient heaven sect, the Xian Talisman sect, and the Xianming sect. Are you alright? Hongyue looked at Du Xiaofu and sized him up curiously. There was some shock in her eyes. She had witnessed the strength of the three avatars back then. I'm fine to begin with. How can 3 puny Yuan spirit clones be a match for me? Du Xiaofu said confidently. The corners of his lips curled up in a slightly narcissistic manner. How thick-skinned. How you shot a disdainful glance at Du Xiaofu and said, it seems like you really have a lot of enemies. I've only heard of them before, but now I've seen them for myself. What kind of thing did you do to make them want to kill you? I'm too strong. They're afraid of me, so they want to kill me. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly. His eyes flickered and he said, but they won't be able to kill me. They'll be the ones to die in the end. All right. Hongyue was speechless. Her skin was snow-white and her face was exquisite. She could topple cities even without smiling. She said to Du Xiaofu, I'm not going to stay with you guys. The barren space is about to close. I'm going to find my friends. I'll come find you in the future. You have to take good care of the little ant queen. Don't bully her or I won't let you go. Aren't you afraid of them? Why are you so concerned about the little ant queen now? Du Xiaofu smiled. I'm not that afraid anymore. Hongyue pouted, and then that alluring and proud figure flashed through the sky and left, leaving behind a voice, I'm going to find my companions. This fellow, where did he find this woman? Tang Miling lifted her head and stared at Hongyue's departing figure. After that, she rolled her eyes at Du Xiaofu. Everything is almost done. There shouldn't be many people from the School of Legalism, School of Vertical and Horizontal and Dragons left. The Thunderhawk King and Mia Meng King stepped forward. In the past few days, the ancient demonic beasts in the barren space had been searching for people from the School of Legalism and the other. Good. Du Xiaofu's eyes flashed with a cold light flashing in his eyes. Back then, we promised that as long as we recovered, we would follow you for 100 years. Now, we will fulfill our promise and follow you for 100 years. Suddenly, the Thunderhawk King and Mia Meng King knelt on one knee, submitting to Du Xiaofu. Before entering the Death Canyon, they had promised to follow Du Xiaofu for 100 years once they recovered. Now, they were fulfilling their promise. During this period of time, Mia Meng King and Thunderhawk King had a clear understanding of Du Xiaofu's character. They were even more shocked by Du Xiaofu's natural talent. Even if they were Nirvana stage practitioners, they would definitely not be wronged if they were to follow by the side of such a peerless rock in human form. No need for formalities. In the next 100 years, the two of you will be the left and right imperial protectors of the barren country. The beasts of the Imperial Heavenly Beast Hall will only be under the Imperial Protectors. Du Xiaofu spoke without any hesitation. Du Xiaofu originally wanted to subdue existences like Thunderhawk King and Mia Meng King. Nirvana Transcendence Realm experts like them would not be weaker than the 4th and 5th elders of the Golden-Winged Rock race. Du Xiaofu also valued and treated them with great respect. Greetings Great Rock Emperor, greetings Country Guardian Venerable. Hearing this, Thunder Eagle King and Mia Meng King bowed to Du Xiaofu and Heavenly Wolf Lonely Sky Howl. They knew Heavenly Wolf Lonely Sky Howl's identity as the Country Guardian of the desolate country. With Heavenly Wolf's strength, it was natural for them to be below him. Greetings, Imperial Protector, Left and Right Imperial Protector. The surrounding disciples of the barren country, Du family, Profound Talisman Sect, and Profound Underworld Sect all bowed respectfully. Powerful existences like the Thunderhawk King and Mia Meng King had joined the barren country. Without a doubt, the barren country had gained 2 more great generals. No need for formalities. Lonely Sky Howl waved his sleeve, indicating that the Thunderhawk King and Mia Meng King did not need to be so courteous. His expression did not change much, but he seemed to enjoy this feeling. Yi Wuming's eyes had a faint golden light fluctuation as he looked at the purple-robed man in front of him. He recalled the youth in the dark forest back then. Now, he was no longer childish. Today, he stood at the peak of the world and could compete with the giants of the world. Back then, the barren country was so weak. Over the years, it had been in a precarious situation. Now, it had countless generals, heaven's prides, and sovereigns. The barren country will rise completely. It will not be the same as before. Wu Ming murmured in his heart. Once the divine domain was closed, the barren country would rise completely. Even the 9 great families and the dragons and phoenixes would not be able to make the barren country bow their heads. Boom, suddenly, the divine domain trembled. Light rain poured down and the space shook. Then, it returned to normal. This space is about to close. The Thunderhawk King said with some anticipation and nervousness in his eyes. After so many years, they were finally going to leave. Du Xiaofu raised his head and looked into the sky. As the owner of this space, he was still unable to control it. However, as his cultivation grew stronger and stronger, especially the strength of his primordial spirit, he was able to understand it like the back of his hand. The space of the divine domain was indeed about to close. Thunderhawk King, Mia Meng King, summon back Yun Zhan and give him a title. Call all the demonic beasts above the beast realm and wait for me here. Du Xiaofu said to the Thunderhawk King and Mia Meng King. Okay. The Thunderhawk King and Mia Meng King immediately left to make arrangements. They had their own plans. Rock Emperor, the divine domain is about to close. After we leave, I'm afraid the legalism, dragons, and school of vertical and horizontal will be waiting outside. Wu Ming said to Du Xiaofu with a frown. This time, the legalism, dragons, and school of vertical and horizontal suffered heavy losses again. They would definitely not let this matter rest. Once they leave the divine domain, they would have to face a huge battle. Don't be afraid. There's no need to worry. We'll deal with whatever comes our way. Elder Yi, there's no need to worry. Du Xiaofu wasn't too worried. Putting aside whether the school of Yin-Yang, school of Moism, and school of agriculture would firmly support him outside the divine domain, he only had the firm support of the golden-winged rock race. Apart from that, Du Xiaofu also had 3 blazing thunderbolts on him. This was his trump card. If the people from the school of legalism, the dragon race, or the school of vertical and horizontal came, he would be able to test the power of the 3 blazing thunderbolts. All right. Wu Ming nodded with a smile. Du Xiaofu wasn't worried at all. He knew Du Xiaofu's character. He wouldn't do anything rash. It seemed like he was already prepared. Soon after, Du Xiaofu said to Mo Tian Shao, wait for Thunder Eagle King, Meng King, and Yun Zhan to seal this place. The restriction here has already disappeared. They can come out. You lead them out. What about you? Mo Tian Shao asked Du Xiaofu. I want to take a look inside the sovereign's tomb. Du Xiaofu smiled. On his resolute face, a golden light flashed past his eyes. He said, there are still some things that I haven't settled yet. I have to make a trip to the sovereign's tomb. Sovereign's tomb. Hearing this, Mo Tian Shao, Wu Ming, and Tang Meiling were all astonished. Du Xiaofu had already missed the opportunity to enter the sovereign's tomb. Could he still enter now? Moreover, the divine domain was about to close. That's right, the sovereign's tomb. As his voice faded, a golden light flashed under Du Xiaofu's feet as he soared into the sky. His figure turned into a rainbow, and in a flash, he disappeared from where he was standing. In the vast square, ancient modeled. This was the square in front of the sovereign's tomb. There was a huge battle in the past, and countless traces were left behind. It was originally a mess, but at this moment, it had mysteriously recovered. When Du Xiaofu's figure appeared again, he was already in the square. He slowly descended, his purple robe fluttering, and his black hair fluttered. Chapter 1756. The surroundings were misty, and the aura was ancient. The entire square was originally filled with geniuses, but the supreme battle had already ended. It was silent, and only Du Xiaofu was here. Du Xiaofu's hand seals were condensing, and ancient runes were condensing, sweeping into the void. Boom! The void above fluctuated, and divine light began to burst out. Runes and mysterious runes swept out, and a phantom began to appear. It was like a mirage, filled with light, and a light rain poured down. There was an ancient aura that spanned across time and space, permeating the void. Qi! Qi! Du Xiaofu raised his head and looked at the mirage-like void above. His figure was wrapped in golden light, and he turned into a golden light shadow, and then disappeared into the mirage-like void. Walala, the light rain poured down, and the void also disappeared. In the ancient land, many huge rocks were suspended above the void, and it was boundless and ancient. The ancient palace had broken walls, and demonic aura was billowing into the sky. Outside the broken walls, on two huge rocks, one on the left and one on the right, there were two figures sitting cross-legged. On the left was a black-haired man with his head slightly lowered. His body was shrouded in a faint black light, and his specific appearance couldn't be seen. On the right was a man shrouded in a strange robe, and his face couldn't be seen clearly. These two were none other than Jialo Juixi and the man who had fought with Du Yunlong, who claimed to be Mo Lingzi, and who had the thunder martial vein. Qi! Qi! Suddenly, almost at the same time, Jialo Juixi and Mo Lingzi opened their eyes. Lightning flashed in their eyes, and two vigorous auras shook the void as they looked at the void in front of them. In the eyes of the two, there was a purple-robed man quietly appearing in the void in front of them, descending into the ancient void. The purple-robed man stood in the void, and his face was resolute and handsome. His black hair fluttered, and for no reason, it caused the space to distort. There was a vast aura quietly descending at the same time. When they saw the purple-robed man, Jialo Juixi and Mo Lingzi stood up at the same time, and their eyes were filled with shock. "Why are you here?" Jialo Jumi was stunned. How could he not recognize that violet-robed young man? Back then, he had clearly seen Du Xiaofu not entering the Paragon tomb. Why would he appear here now? "There are some things that need to be resolved, so I came." Du Xiaofu spoke. His gaze swept past Jialo Jumi before landing on Mo Lingzi. Back then, he had already noticed the mysterious purple-robed figure. There was a strange aura on his body that was connected to the thunder martial vein. At this moment, Du Xiaofu could feel it even more, causing him to be puzzled. "Who are you?" Du Xiaofu asked Mo Lingzi. For some reason, he felt that the purple-robed figure seemed familiar. "I'm called Mo Lingzi." Mo Lingzi opened his mouth and slightly raised his head. Under the hood of his robe, only a pair of lightning eyes could be seen. The aura of a peak nirvana realm true self surged from his body. Mo Lingzi, Du Xiaofu spoke softly, then looked towards the broken ancient palace. There was a demonic aura soaring into the sky, and a terrifying aura was surging. That was the aura of moksha. Coming to the Paragon tomb, Du Xiaofu came for moksha. His master, Xiahou Fenlei, was still in the hands of the devil religion. Du Xiaofu had never forgotten that. With moksha's position in the devil religion, Du Xiaofu believed that as long as he captured moksha, it wouldn't be difficult to get his master back. "You have to get past me first." Jialo Jumi sensed Du Xiaofu's intention. His voice was soft, and his black robe fluttered slightly. His long black hair draped behind his neck, and he had a great aura. For no reason, the surrounding space began to faintly distort. "I don't want to fight with you. Grandma is waiting for you to return." Du Xiaofu turned his head and looked at Jialo Jumi with some fluctuations in his eyes. Du Xiaofu knew the old lady's wishes and thoughts. The old lady had always hoped that one day, Jialo Jumi could return to the clan. Grandma, in Jialo Jumi's eyes, a complicated fluctuation quietly flashed. Then, he stared at Du Xiaofu and said, "This is the matter of my golden-winged Great Rock clan. You are just a human. It's not your turn to interfere. In my foster father's heart, he also wishes for you to return. Go back, the entire clan wishes for you to return." Du Xiaofu continued, unmoved by Jialo Jumi's words. "You really think of yourself as the young patriarch of the golden-winged Great Rock clan. Unfortunately, you are still just a human. My father is really old. Letting Jialo Jueyu become the young patriarch is better than you. At least he is a real golden-winged Great Rock." Jialo Jumi slowly raised his head. His eyebrows were like willows. On his face, his eyeballs were like jet-black agates. They were as black as the endless abyss at the end of the universe. However, his expression remained calm. "I am a human, and also the young patriarch of the golden-winged Great Rock clan. This is not contradictory." Du Xiaofu was also very calm. He looked at Jialo Jumi and said, "I want to find moksha. You lost to me in the past. Today, you can't stop me." As his voice fell, Du Xiaofu turned around. Golden light surged as he swept towards the broken palace. "Intruder, die." The indifferent and calm voice seemed to have no fluctuations. In the next moment, there was an inexplicable aura that was terrifying. Mo Lingzi made his move. He stepped across the void from the floating boulder, accompanied by a terrifying purple lightning that swept out from his body. Rumble, in an instant, this side of the void flashed with lightning and thunder. The aura was murderous in all directions. The vast aura surged, and the sky and the void trembled because of it. Chi La! Chi La! A large expanse of purple thunderbolts swept out and blasted towards Du Xiaofu. Thunder Martial Vein. Du Xiaofu suddenly turned around, his eyes revealing shock. At this moment, Du Xiaofu clearly felt that Mo Lingzi was activating the martial vein in his body. It was actually the thunder martial vein of the Du family. It was exactly the same as the thunder martial vein in his body. No wonder he kept feeling a sense of familiarity. Chi La La, purple electric arcs fluctuated, and Du Xiaofu's body was immediately covered by the thunder martial vein, which directly swallowed the incoming purple lightning into his body. Chi La! Mo Lingzi's figure soared into the sky. The void beneath his feet trembled. Amidst the lightning and thunder, he directly blasted a punch towards Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu raised his arm and similarly blasted a punch out. Boom! Purple electric arcs were vast and mighty, and lightning flashed. Pfff, Mo Lingzi spat out a mouthful of blood as his figure was sent flying. His eyes were filled with shock. The thunder martial vein in Du Xiaofu's body was far above his. To be able to suppress the martial vein in his body, Du Xiaofu's terrifying strength had also crushed him. Compared to before the opening of the Supreme Tomb, Du Xiaofu's cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds. "I'd like to see who you are." Du Xiaofu's figure pounced out and turned into a purple lightning. He stretched out his hand, and his 5 fingers slightly curled as a claw mark appeared in the void, grabbing towards Mo Lingzi's robe. Chi La! Black energy surged, and Jialo Jueme appeared. As soon as he appeared, he displayed the supreme beast ability of the golden-winged Peng clan. He punched Du Xiaofu's claw, aiming for Du Xiaofu's palm. Du Xiaofu's claw mark changed as golden light surged. His 5 fingers directly stretched out and turned into a palm print, directly clashing with Jialo Jueme's fist. As the two of them clashed, the surrounding void boiled as floating boulders exploded. Dang dang, as the monstrous energy was released, Du Xiaofu's figure was like a boulder, while Jialo Jueme's figure was directly sent flying. Gee! Just as Jialo Jueme's figure was sent flying, a monstrous black and gold light suddenly swept out from his body. His body also suddenly expanded as he stabilized his retreat. At the same time, a bright dark golden light soared into the sky, covering it. In an instant, Jello Jueme's original body, which had turned into a dark golden winged rock, appeared. It was huge, with a wingspan of more than 1,000 feet, covering the sky with a flap of its wings. A terrifying pressure that blotted out the sky and covered the earth descended, causing the ancient void to tremble. This was Jello Jueme's original body, and it was quite different from before. A pair of pitch-black eyes, like a black hole, caused one's heart to palpitate, as if they could devour one's soul. His entire body emitted black lightning, and his aura was frightening. It was like 1,000,000 mountains were pressing down, causing one's heart to tremble, as if they were about to be crushed. The most terrifying thing was the black lightning on Jello Jueme's body at this moment. It rushed out like a black light, turning into a black thunderbolt, causing arcs of lightning to spread in all directions around his huge body. In a short moment, the entire sky was suffused with waves of black lightning. The scene was extremely terrifying. Chi-La, without any hesitation, Jello Jueme spread his wings and directly swept towards Du Xiaofu. Black lightning rippled in all directions, dazzling and blazing. Rumble, at this moment, lightning flashed above the void, and dark clouds rolled, exploding high up in the sky. Dozens of black lightning arcs spread out in all directions. The dense black lightning arcs covered the sky, drowning the world as if they could destroy everything. The Nirvana realm. Du Xiaofu was a little surprised. At this moment, Jello Jueme was already at the Nirvana realm. He must have obtained great benefits in the Supreme Tomb, and the 9 underworld demonic thunder on his body was also different from before. Chi-La, but Du Xiaofu was not afraid. His figure directly passed through the black lightning. The thunder martial vein in his body seemed to be unafraid of all the spiritual thunder, and it was devouring the power of the 9 underworld demonic thunder. Jello Jueme spread his wings and appeared, spitting out a black lightning with unparalleled power. It was like a demonic domain that covered the sky, and wherever it passed, the void turned into nothingness and then collapsed. Black lightning arcs as thick as an arm flashed in the void, causing one's heart to palpitate and soul to tremble, and one's hair to stand on end. Just the 9 underworld demonic thunder is not enough. Du Xiaofu said. He formed a hand seal, and the thunder martial vein surged. The purple lightning that covered the sky and earth was boundless, directly destroying the black lightning. He punched out, simple and direct, but incomparably domineering. Bang! Jello Jueme hurriedly flapped his wings to counterattack, but Du Xiaofu's punch forced his huge body back, and the black lightning arcs dissipated. Boom! At this moment, a heavenly sound suddenly came from the void behind him. 6 divine rings appeared in the sky, and Mo Lingzi's figure appeared. There were 6 divine rings like divine flames in the sky. That was the symbol of the supreme Nirvana realm, descending with a vast momentum. Chapter 1757. Rumble, the void rumbled as runes surged. The Nirvana sovereign power, accompanied by the lightning martial vein, swept out like a mountain torrent. Endless rays of light erupted in the void, intertwining and boiling the void. This was a destructive force that swept towards Du Xiaofu. Such a vast might, the Nirvana sovereign power and the lightning martial vein intertwined, along with a billowing demonic aura. It could be said that for an existence like Mo Lingzi, it was difficult to find an opponent in the same realm. He had the power to contend against opponents above his realm. This was a terrifying existence. Unfortunately, Mo Lingzi's current opponent was Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu didn't even turn his head. He waved his hand and condensed a purple gold thunder rock phantom. This purple gold thunder rock phantom was evolved from the golden winged rock supreme beast energy and the lightning martial vein. It was simple and direct as it swept towards Mo Lingzi. The violet gold lightning rock silhouette flapped its wings as it pounced towards the sky, seeming as if it was capable of striking down the stars. Lightning flickered as it emitted a boundless radiance, and it crushed Mo Lingzi's 6 divine rings with a peerlessly vast might. Pft! Mo Lingzi vomited a mouthful of blood this time as his body was directly sent flying. Feathers of the true rock. But in this delay, Jialo Jumi's pitch-black eyes flashed with a sharp black light. Dark golden light behind his huge dark golden body overflowed into the sky. As runes circulated, a surge of pressure erupted. From that huge body, 36 dazzling feathers wrapped in dark golden light emerged. These were Jialo Jumi's 36 feathers of the true rock. Originally, Jialo Jumi had 27 feathers of the true rock. Later, he took away 9 feathers of the true rock and refined them over the years. 36 feathers of the true rock were far more powerful than 27 feathers of the true rock. Not to mention, at this moment, Jialo Jumi's Nirvana realm cultivation was even more terrifying. The feathers of the true rock were absolutely superior to the true dragon horn and true dragon claw of the dragons. Swish 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 swish, 36 feathers wrapped in black and gold light flew out, as if they had turned into 36 battle spears. They caused the space to ripple and the wind to howl. The wind in the sky surged. The 36 feathered spears emitted dazzling lights that were like bolts of lightning as they tore through the sky and interweaved with each other, causing them to be extremely terrifying and all-conquering. 36 true rock feathers appeared along with a large illusory image of the golden-winged great rock. It was so powerful that it was shocking. It instantly flew towards Du Xiaofu. Facing the 36 true rock feathers, Du Xiaofu's eyes also twitched slightly. The purple-gold heavenly fault on his body was still asleep. However, Du Xiaofu remained fearless. With a shake of his arm, the image of the 8 trigrams gushed out from his palm and rapidly expanded. Ancient runes shot out and appeared in the void. Like a screen of light, they actually blocked the 36 spear-like feathers of the true Peng. They were all blocked, and even the feathers that had pierced through the void were trapped within. At this moment, Jialo Jumi's eyes were filled with shock. He secretly felt a chill run down his spine. His 36 true Peng feathers were enough to sweep away cultivators of the same level. Even Moksha did not dare to be careless. At this moment, Du Xiaofu actually imprisoned them, giving him an unfathomable feeling. There was no doubt that Du Xiaofu's cultivation base had risen to another level in the past few months. The 8 trigrams that stood upright like a screen of light emitted an ancient and dazzling light. There was a strange phenomenon in the sky that caused chaos in the void. It also directly imprisoned the 36 true Peng feathers, as if to forcibly take them away. Not good, Jialo Jumi felt fear. However, in the end, his 36 true Peng feathers were still completely imprisoned. No matter how hard he tried, it was as if he had lost contact with them. Whoosh, the 36 true Peng feathers were tightly imprisoned in the 8 trigrams. Then, they were directly taken back by Du Xiaofu. A purple arc of lightning surged out from his palm, bringing with it a destructive aura. In the end, everything disappeared. The 36 true Peng feathers also disappeared from Du Xiaofu's palm. Du Xiaofu used the purple thunder profound cauldron and directly took the 36 true Peng feathers into the cauldron to suppress them. Pft! Jialo Jumi spat out blood. The 36 true Peng feathers were forcibly taken away. At this moment, he had actually completely lost contact with them. This completely shocked him. Du Xiaofu looked at Jialo Jumi and said, "You are no match for me. Go back to your clan. If you stay with the devil religion, you will make grandmother, foster father, and sister Kai Ling worry. Human, what right do you have to say this to me? I just want to fight for everything I have. What wrong have I done?" Jialo Jumi opened his mouth. His black eyes stared at Du Xiaofu. His voice was filled with waves as he said, "Do you think you can really defeat me? Today, my demonic bones have already completely fused. I am no longer the same as before." Jialo Jumi's cold voice echoed in the sky. The huge dark golden peng body flapped its wings, and a dark demonic aura filled the sky. It was as if the demonic realm of the underworld had appeared, revealing the tragic scene of the world about to be destroyed. At this moment, on the surface of Jialo Jumi's huge body, there was no longer any golden color. It had completely turned into a dark and deep color, as if the demonic peng had descended from the depths of the demonic realm. This was the secret bone in Jialo Jumi's body, which was also activated by the demonic bones in his body. At this moment, Jialo Jumi's huge body blotted out the sky. There was no fanciful movement, only the simplest and most domineering sweep. A terrifying aura suppressed the world. Woo woo, at this moment, Jialo Jumi swept over, bringing with it the tragic scene of the world about to be destroyed. The illusory image changed like a dream, and ghosts cried and gods howled. The black and gold runes swept out like waves, and the demonic aura filled the sky. Back in the Golden Peng clan, Jialo Jumi had the demonic bones in his body, but he had not completely fused them. This was also what the old lady was most worried about. It was rumored that once someone with the demonic bones transformed into a demonic peng, it would be a disaster for the world, and also for the Golden Peng clan. Xiaofu, if you meet Jumi in the future, help me persuade him. If he completely fuses with the demonic bones, you have to suppress him at the first moment, even if it means killing him. The old lady's words echoed in Du Xiaofu's ears. The old lady doted on Jialo Jumi so much that she could not let him go. But when she said those words in the end, it was enough to show how terrifying he would be once he transformed into a demonic peng. You actually completely fused with the demonic bones. Du Xiaofu's eyes also rippled at this moment, and the look in his eyes was even more complicated. Jialo Jumi, who had completely fused with the demonic bones, now had a terrifying aura. It was not difficult for Du Xiaofu to feel that at the same level as Jialo Jumi, the heavenly wolf Lonely Sky Howl would definitely be at a disadvantage. The old lady was also worried about the demonic bones. If he transformed into a demonic peng, it would be a disaster for the Golden Peng clan, and it would be a disaster for the world. So what if he has the demonic bones? Why can't he exist in this world? Is it just for those illusory rumors? If he can't be tolerated in the clan, in the world, then so what if I transform into a demonic peng? Jialo Jumi hissed, and his voice was filled with a kind of indescribable helplessness and anger. At this moment, wherever the huge black demonic peng passed, the void turned into a vacuum, revealing a pitch-black halo that swallowed everything in the world. This power was too terrifying, so terrifying that even Du Xiaofu, who was at the half-step nirvana realm, did not dare to be careless. Ancient runes suddenly rippled around Du Xiaofu's body, and then turned into an 8 trigrams pattern in the void around him. The 8 positions connected with each other, turning into a dazzling divine ring that spread out in all directions. Rumble, on the 8 trigrams pattern, mountains and lakes evolved, wind, rain, thunder, and lightning alternated, the sun, moon, and stars changed, and the mountains and rivers moved horizontally. The 8 trigrams pattern was changing, and a vast pressure appeared from the void, descending upon the lightning stars and rolling flames. It was as if destruction had enveloped this part of the world. In an instant, the demonic peng attacked, and the void within the 8 trigrams pattern surged, as if 2 worlds had collided together. Rumble, the entire void boiled, and heaven and earth were resonating. The void was vast and surging, and the dazzling runes were like the sea. Demonic aura overflowed, and stormy waves arose. In an instant, a large area of the void collapsed inch by inch under that terrifying power. Such a confrontation made one's soul tremble. Gee, at this moment, Jialo Jumi's demonic peng body roared, piercing through the clouds and splitting rocks. It shook one's soul, and even the 8 trigrams pattern could not confine it. Demonic aura overflowed, and the demonic peng struck the sky. Under that terrifying power, after Mo Lingzi got up, he had been watching from afar. At this moment, even he found it difficult to intervene. Boom! Suddenly, a trembling sound came from the damaged palace. A figure swept out from the monstrous demonic aura that surged into the sky, and emerged from the void. It was a young man. His face was slightly raised, and it was as if his face was exquisitely carved. The young man's gaze immediately looked at Jialo Jumi and Du Xiaofu. At the same time, the demonic aura around him surged, and he directly rushed into the battlefield. With a wave of his hand, a fist rushed out, wrapped in a monstrous demonic aura, and directly blasted towards Du Xiaofu. Moksha. Du Xiaofu discovered the newcomer. It was Moksha. He rushed straight over, and his body was covered in demonic aura, and a terrifying aura swept out. Roar! The dragon roared and the elephant trumpeted. Du Xiaofu blasted out a punch, colliding with Moksha who was rushing over. It was domineering and disdainful. This was the tyrannical fist Dao. Rumble, as the two circles collided, the muffled sound of energy enveloped the 8 trigrams pattern, and the terrifying energy swept out like a storm. Half-step reincarnation nirvana. As the two fists collided, Du Xiaofu's figure staggered back a little, and his eyes rippled again. At this moment, Du Xiaofu clearly sensed that Moksha's cultivation had also reached the half-step reincarnation realm. However, Moksha seemed to be even more shocked than Du Xiaofu, and his figure staggered back a dozen steps. Moksha had reached the half-step reincarnation nirvana realm. He originally thought that he could completely suppress Du Xiaofu, but he never expected that he would be at a disadvantage the moment he entered the battlefield. Moksha staggered back, and a demonic rock flapped its wings above his head, affecting the 8 trigrams pattern space. Its claw tore through the void, and the rock's chaos-crushing claw descended with supreme might and demonic aura. Chapter 1758. Du Xiaofu raised his head and was about to make a move. "Leave this rock to me." A domineering voice came from afar. A golden figure appeared in front of Du Xiaofu at lightning speed. It was a young man in golden clothes. His eyes glowed with golden light, emitting the aura of a king. In an instant, golden light shone everywhere, and his figure turned into a huge red-bone horse monkey. The person who came was none other than little demon Du. Who else could it be? Roar! Roar! Little demon Du's red-bone horse monkey body howled. Waves of golden light suffused out from his enormous crystalline and translucent body, and it was like a terrifying lord had been born. The talisman markings that covered the sky surged like hazy radiance, and it was like the beginning of the world as it blasted towards the devil rock of the Jialo Palace. At this moment, Du Xiaoyao's aura was also at the peak of Nirvana realm. Jialo Jumi demonic rock pushed everything aside. He used the demonic bone and turned into a demonic rock, suppressing all directions. Demonic chi on his body turned into a storm that swept out. Bright and deep runes gathered like demonic lightning that pierced through the void, wanting to destroy Du Xiaoyao's red-bone horse monkey body. Roar! Du Xiaoyao's red-bone horse monkey body roared. Golden light burst out, peerless and unparalleled. Rumble! The two collided. The power was simply enough to destroy heaven and earth, destroying everything. Peak of Nirvana realm. Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes. He felt that Du Xiaoyao's aura was also at the peak of Nirvana realm, not below Jialo Jumi demonic rock. With Du Xiaoyao's cultivation strength, Du Xiaofu didn't know what the result would be when facing Jialo Jumi's demonic rock body, but at least Du Xiaoyao wouldn't be at a disadvantage. Bang, 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 the red-bone horse monkey and the demonic rock fought. In an instant, they had already exchanged several blows. The surrounding ground exploded into fine powder, and the cracks on the ground continued to spread. Many boulders in the void shattered, and around the dilapidated ancient palace, the broken walls cracked one after another. Let's continue. Moksha rushed over again. He wanted to fight against Du Xiaofu. The previous loss he suffered had become a barrier in his heart. Moksha soared through the air, resembling a devil lord. His aura was terrifying to the extreme, and in the depths of his eyes, a resplendent light flashed. Boom! At the same time, a mysterious ancient armor appeared in front of Moksha. Devil chi gushed forth from it as arcs of lightning danced about. Its might shook the 9 heavens. This was an absolute treasure that allowed his defense to be even stronger. Chi. But at this moment, 2 blazing bolts of purple lightning suddenly shot out from Du Xiaofu's eyes and shot into the sky as if they were real. Boom! At this moment, the sky shook violently. Purple thunderclouds gathered out of nowhere, and the terrifying might of lightning filled the sky. Du Xiaofu activated the lightning martial vein in his body with all his might. On the surface of his body, dazzling talisman runes flickered like purple arcs of lightning. A formless wave spread out like a ripple. When the formless wave spread out, thunderclouds rolled in the sky as lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Without a doubt, the 2 opponents were fighting again. Although they didn't go all out, they went all out without holding back. At this moment, Du Xiaofu also released his half-step nirvana cultivation without holding back. You are also at the half-step nirvana level. Moksha's voice was filled with shock and astonishment. In the battle in front of the Supreme Tomb, he was at the peak of the nirvana level, which was slightly higher than Du Xiaofu's. Originally, Moksha thought that after gaining enlightenment in the Supreme Tomb, his cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. When he met Du Xiaofu again, he would definitely be able to suppress him. However, the current situation had exceeded Mo Sha's expectations. Du Xiaofu, who was in front of him, had actually stepped into the half-step to nirvana stage just like him. But Moksha wasn't afraid. He was Moksha, and he had never been defeated. Even in front of the Supreme Tomb, he didn't get the soul-extinguishing Thunder Soul Seed, but he pushed Du Xiaofu out of the Supreme Tomb. In this way, he had never been defeated before. Boom! Moksha didn't hold back anymore. His hair was loose as he attacked Du Xiaofu with all his might, and his demonic aura was vast and mighty. At this moment, Moksha didn't know why Du Xiaofu entered the Supreme Tomb again. But when he was in seclusion to gain enlightenment, Du Xiaofu barged in like this. It was an insult to him, and it was also a barrier in his heart. He wanted to kill Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu was even more fearless. Purple lightning wrapped around him, and the 8 trigrams shrouded the void. Every move he made was domineering and disdainful. The 2 figures fought in the 8 trigrams void, and in a flash, they had exchanged dozens of blows. Rumble, one was the Demon King, the other was the Demon King. Their auras shook the heavens. The 2 of them had no opponents in their generation. Both of them were truly invincible. Boom, suddenly, there was a trembling sound in the ancient void. Light bloomed and scattered. Above the void, a spatial crack appeared. Resplendent light shot out, and a strange and indescribable aura spread out. This was the Supreme Tomb's movement, and it wanted to push everyone out. The Supreme Tomb was about to truly close again, and all living beings couldn't stay inside. But Du Xiaofu and Moksha didn't care. They had already erupted into a battle, and the battle caused the space to rumble, as if it wanted to turn the world upside down. Bang! A forceful confrontation was on the verge of breaking out. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, after dozens of moves, there was a muffled sound in the air. Mo Sha's figure was once again forcefully sent flying. His face was pale and his expression secretly changed. How can he be so strong? Moksha's eyes narrowed. He felt his fist go numb even through the armor. At the same cultivation level, Moksha finally realized how strong Du Xiaofu was. He actually suppressed him again and again. Rumble, in the distant void, Jialo Jueliao's huge demonic rock body and Du Xiaoyao's redbone horse monkey body were similarly intense. Jialo Jueliao's dark eyes had unknowingly started to fluctuate violently. Du Xiaoyao's strength shocked Jialo Jueliao. His 9 underworld demonic thunder couldn't do anything to the redbone horse monkey. Jello Jueliao's eyes became more and more intense. Dark-like demonic chi surged and was released, as if it was carrying the 9 underworld demonic realm. It wanted to crush Du Xiaoyao's red-bone horse monkey body. But at this moment, Du Xiaoyao was incomparably domineering. He didn't dodge, and there was no fanciful battle between him and Jello Jueliao. It was the simplest and most domineering clash. As the two behemoths fought, a pitch-black semicircle of light appeared where they collided, annihilating everything. Rumble, above Jello Jueliao's huge demonic rock head, 7 divine rings suddenly rushed out, using the power of nirvana. The sound of Tao resounded, and waves of dark light and lightning surged. At this moment, with Jello Jumi's huge demonic rock as the center, the sky was filled with lightning and thunder, exploding high up in the sky. It was as if a gap had opened up in the demonic domain, and an extremely terrifying power descended. Dense black lightning arcs covered the sky, wanting to drown the world and drown little demon Du, nirvana of profound. Du Xiaoyao's red-bone horse monkey body was wrapped in multicolored light. The golden talisman patterns on the surface of his body evolved, communicating with the world. His aura was like the beginning of the world, the beginning of all things. Rumble, suddenly, there was no divine ring in the air above Du Xiaoyao's head. Instead, there was an exceptionally huge vortex of divine flames that enveloped his body. A terrifying might rippled out, causing the surrounding mountains to rumble and crack, and the sky to change color. At this moment, the ancient space trembled, and the heavenly sound was endless, as if the world was about to be turned upside down. Your nirvana is still far away. Du Xiaoyao's red-bone horse monkey raised his head and looked at Jello Jueliao, who was charging at him. The aura of the peak of nirvana realm was fully released, and his innate golden spirit eyes shone like bright golden lightning shooting into the sky. He directly punched out, turning into a 5-fingered mountain peak that rushed out. The aura of the beginning of the world rippled through the world, causing the earth to tremble and the sky to shake. Rumble, such a collision caused a series of thunderous explosions. Dark light and lightning covered the sky, and the world was about to be destroyed. It was unknown whether it was because the supreme tomb was already being pushed out, or because Du Xiaoyao's punch was too terrifying, but the cracks that were originally suspended in the void suddenly accelerated, and divine light permeated the entire supreme tomb. Rumble, the supreme tomb rumbled and was on the verge of collapse. Under this punch, Jello Jueliao's huge demonic rock body was directly sent flying. His 7 divine rings were shattered, and he spat out blood continuously. The blood was dark gold and did not dissipate. At this moment, Jello Jueliao's huge eyes were filled with shock. He found it hard to believe that his demonic rock body, coupled with the 9 underworld demonic thunder, was still heavily suppressed by the former. Dang! Du Xiaoyao's huge red-bone horse monkey body also staggered a few steps back, and his golden spirit eyes were also filled with shock. The black golden-winged rock had a terrifying demonic aura, and with the fusion of spiritual thunder, it was even stronger than Du Xiaoyao had imagined. It was an absolutely terrifying existence. In a one-on-one comparison, Du Xiaoyao believed that this black golden-winged rock was definitely much stronger than Jello Jueliao. If they were on the same level, Du Xiaoyao thought that it would not be easy for him to suppress the demonic rock. However, at this moment, his cultivation was at the peak of nirvana realm, and he was able to suppress the demonic rock that had just broken through. Suddenly, the ancient void shook, and above the void, a vast square appeared. That was the square in front of the supreme tomb. It was ancient and mottled, and clouds were surging around it. Instantly, a vast force that couldn't be stopped gushed out from the sky, and it swept out Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, Mo Sha, Jello Juelia, and Mo Lingzi, causing them to be unable to control or resist it. In the square in front of the supreme tomb reappeared in the void. The ancient buildings were clearly visible, and the broken walls flashed. Light rain poured down, and in the fluctuation of the ancient aura, many figures were pushed out. Whoosh whoosh,
One figure after another appeared in the void. It was Kong Sansi, Su Yangzi, Heng Luan, Mo Runan, Zhen Qingchun, Du Xiaoman, and other familiar figures that had entered the Supreme Tomb. Chapter 1759. Hundreds of figures appeared. Redbone Horse Monkey, Golden-Winged Roc, in the sky, Du Xiaoyao's Redbone Horse Monkey and Jialo Juexiao's Golden-Winged Roc were so huge that they immediately attracted the attention of all the supreme beings. Moksha and Du Xiaofu too. Moksha, with his demonic aura, and Du Xiaofu, with his 8 trigrams pattern, also attracted the attention of everyone. Back then, the Supreme Tomb opened during the battle between these two peak-level experts. Now, the Supreme Tomb was about to close because of the battle between these two peak-level experts as well. It's Juexiao. Jialo Kaling's beautiful eyes glowed with a complicated light. Juexiao has already fused with the demonic bone. Jialo Jueyu's eyes rippled. Continue. Du Xiaoyao's Redbone Horse Monkey roared. He leaped across the sky and chased after Jialo Juexiao. Although Jialo Juexiao and Mo Peng were injured, they still held their heads high. Black light surged in their eyes, and demonic lightning arcs flowed all over their bodies. They connected with the demonic roc's body, and a vast and unparalleled aura spread in all directions like a tide. They once again erupted to resist Du Xiaoyao. Fight! At the same time, in the air above Mo Sha's head, 10 divine rings that were like divine flames appeared in the air. Heavenly music resounded continuously in the air, causing the heavens and earth to rumble. It was as if countless heavenly drums were beating at the same time. A majestic aura and heavenly might descended. Moksha has become stronger again. His cultivation has improved by leaps and bounds. This vast aura shocked all the supreme beings present. They couldn't help but want to prostrate themselves. All the supreme beings who came out and didn't get killed in the Supreme Tomb had obtained great opportunities and benefits. They originally thought that when they reappeared, they would have the chance to shock the world. However, at this moment, most of the supreme beings present would no longer think so. Compared to Moksha, their improvements seemed to be a little incomparable. But in the distance, a little girl and a peerless woman in a green dress were staring at Du Xiaofu, Moksha, Du Xiaoyao, and Jialo Jumi. Their eyes shone with a divine light as ripples appeared in their hearts. Demonic palm. Moksha roared as devil chi danced in the air. It was as though a devil lord had come into being. Tens of thousands of layers of devil chi erupted forth. The pitch-black devil chi was like a burning devil flame as the energy undulated like a vast ocean. Runes surged as it crushed Du Xiaofu with all its strength. Come on! Du Xiaofu's eyes flashed with purple-gold lightning. Instead of retreating, he advanced. Even the 8 trigrams pattern in the air was retracted. Although the 8 trigrams pattern in the air could directly suppress Moksha, it also required a lot of attention and a lot of energy. It wasn't enough to completely suppress an existence like Moksha with the 8 trigrams pattern. Du Xiaofu wanted to fight Moksha head-on to test his true strength. Among his peers, Moksha was the best test stone. Boom! His figure was like a purple-gold rainbow as he flew across the sky. At the same time, a mass of energy covered Du Xiaofu's right palm and condensed into a handprint. It was 3 colors of gold, black and silver. It was crystal clear and full of runes. This crystal clear 3-colored handprint looked calm, but if one looked closely, they would discover that it was emitting a heart-palpitating wave that contained 3 types of martial arts. Du Xiaofu made his move. This was an attack formed by the superposition of the Shaoyang seal, Taiyin seal, and Shaoyin seal. It cut through the air and slammed towards Moksha's demonic palm. As fast as lightning, the 2 palms collided and exploded. Bam! The void exploded, and the entire modeled ancient square trembled as the earth and mountains shook. Then, the square cracked with a series of cracking sounds.
Sand and pebbles flew, the space was chaotic, and an energy storm swept in all directions. The terrifying impact caused a black vacuum halo to appear in the void of the square. It was like a black hole that swallowed everything, and then it gradually disappeared. Sizzle, this confrontation of palms sent Moksha's figure flying again. The 10 divine rings above his head dimmed and were about to be extinguished. Gosh, Demon King Du Xiaofu is so strong. In the void around the square, the supreme sky prides were already dumbfounded. There was no doubt about Moksha's strength, but Du Xiaofu used his own strength to fight against Moksha's complete supreme sky prides and even suppressed him. In comparison, the difference between them was not small. Du Xiaofu did not enter the supreme tomb, but he must have obtained a great opportunity to suppress Moksha. Among those present, Kong Sansi, Heng Luan, Huang Linger, and the other super experts' expressions changed drastically. If I'm not wrong, both of them have reached the half-step rebirth nirvana realm. Zhou Xiaoluo's beautiful eyes were filled with shock. Half-step rebirth nirvana realm. Hearing this, the surrounding supreme beings sucked in a breath of cold air. Their gazes trembled violently. Those two were already so powerful. Rumble, suddenly, the entire space of the deity plane began to shake. The sky was filled with light fluctuations, and an indescribable ancient aura fluctuated. The space of the deity plane is closing. The crowd exclaimed. The entire space of the deity plane was fluctuating. It was rumored that this was the last time the space of the deity plane was opening. Du Xiaofu looked at the sky and squinted his eyes. He then looked at Moksha and fluctuations appeared in his eyes. It's time to end this. Du Xiaofu muttered to himself. At the same time, he moved horizontally across the void and pounced towards Moksha. Boundless demonic sea. Bang! The void collapsed. Moksha's armor was covered with electric arcs. Demonic aura surged and his eyes were terrifying. He threw out a punch with monstrous demonic aura and the strength of a complete supreme sky prides. The complete supreme nirvana realm is not a true complete supreme sky prides. Du Xiaofu said. At the same time, a divine ring appeared in the air around him. It was exceptionally large and resplendent, erupting with resplendent light. It was like the sun rising from the east, bringing with it all sorts of phenomena. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was enveloped by a divine ring and blended with it. It suddenly gave people a sacred and inviolable feeling. The surging aura was like a waterfall, surging and boiling. One divine ring, but it's different. What kind of nirvana is this? That aura is too vast. No legend has ever been left behind. It's enough to shock the world. When they saw the divine ring, everyone was stunned. However, that terrifying pressure made all the supreme sky prides present know that it was definitely a terrifying nirvana, an unprecedented nirvana. Roar! Roar! Du Xiaofu made his move. He raised his arm and punched out, bringing with it the roar of dragons and the trumpeting of elephants. Wind and thunder resounded in the void. This ancient world was rumbling because of it. Domineering saint might swept through the heavens and the earth, causing the void to undulate. At this moment, Du Xiaofu had also used all his strength and used the infinite nirvana realm. However, he had not fully activated the infinite nirvana realm. The true infinite nirvana realm was the combination of the 8 trigrams, the supreme beast energy of the golden-winged rock, the star ultimacy, and various other ultimacies. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu had also used the infinite nirvana realm without a doubt. It was just that he was still holding back. At this moment, Du Xiaofu burst forth with his mighty saint aura, causing the faces of the supremes in the surrounding void to flush red. They were dumbfounded and dumbfounded. To think that such a domineering aura could be this strong. In the shock of many people, the two collided again with unparalleled force. A shocking explosion suddenly swept out, rumble, in an instant, the sky rumbled. The cries of ghosts and howls of gods resounded. There was also the rumbling of thunder. Strange phenomena appeared in the sky. There was also a monstrous demonic aura, as if it had rushed out from the demonic realm. It was extremely terrifying. At this moment, the confrontation between the two drowned the sky and the void, as if it wanted to destroy everything. Bang, 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 the vast square in the surroundings suddenly exploded one after another. In such a collision, under the terrifying pressure released by Moksha and Du Xiaofu, some of the weaker skyprides in the square turned pale. Above the chaotic void, the 10 divine halos above Moksha's head began to crack. His figure flew backward, and his hair was disheveled. Dark red blood spurted out from his mouth, and his face turned pale. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's figure only swayed slightly. Then, he rushed out like a bolt of lightning. Rock soaring 10,000 miles, rippling carefree steps. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was unbelievably fast. He punched directly at Moksha. Du Xiaofu's simple punch contained a great force that was incomparably domineering and disdainful. Moksha, who was retreating, couldn't dodge in time. His face was solemn, and his eyes were cold. He gritted his teeth and punched out as well. Bang! Du Xiaofu's punch landed on Moksha's chest, and the ancient armor on his body cracked and caved in. Almost at the same time, Moksha's punch also landed on Du Xiaofu's chest. However, at this critical moment, Du Xiaofu's body flickered with light. A strange rune soared into the sky, and his aura surged and erupted with golden light. Boom! Just as Moksha's punch was about to land, the golden light around Du Xiaofu transformed into feather-like fragments that condensed into a golden armor that covered his entire body. Above the armor, golden light rippled. The feather-like fragments were like the golden feathers of the golden-winged rock. Layer upon layer, they were like feathers, but more like armor fragments. They formed a magnificent golden armor. Screech! When the golden armor appeared, the faint screech of a golden-winged rock could be heard from the armor. It pierced through the clouds and cracked rocks, and an incomparably domineering aura swept through the void. This was the first layer of the azure spirit armor that Du Xiaofu had cultivated. It was formed from the blood essence of the golden-winged rock. Bang! Moksha's punch also landed on the azure spirit armor at the same time. A muffled sound rang out, and demonic aura poured out in torrents. The vast aura collapsed. With such power, even an ordinary domain realm expert wouldn't dare to take it head-on. Chapter 1760. However, Du Xiaofu took it head-on. Golden light burst out from the azure spirit armor, and the faint sound of a rock could be heard. Moksha spat out blood, and his body was sent flying. The ancient armor in front of his chest caved in, and cracks appeared all around. However, Du Xiaofu's body only swayed slightly, and the azure spirit armor dimmed slightly. Then, it shone as brightly as before, completely unaffected. Moksha's punch was extremely powerful. During his battle with Du Xiaofu, Moksha's punch had directly shattered Du Xiaofu's chest, revealing a bloody hole so deep that the bone could be seen. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu was completely unaffected. Although Du Xiaofu's cultivation was already at the same level as Moksha's, the azure spirit armor on his body was the most important. Oh my God, is that armor a treasure or a condensation of celestial qi? Its defense is off the charts. Some of the supreme martial artists present were extremely sharp, and they immediately realized that Du Xiaofu's armor was not ordinary. Its defense was extremely terrifying. Moksha staggered and stabilized himself, and his eyes were filled with shock. He stared at the strange armor on Du Xiaofu's body. Moksha had never seen such a defense before. Du Xiaofu smiled. He had just tested the defense of the azure spirit armor, and it did not disappoint him. Such a defense was enough to block any attack of the same level, and it was as good as a realm cultivator's defense. It was indeed abnormal, and it was indeed left behind by the ruler of the 3,000 greater worlds. Let's continue. His battle intent surged, and golden light shone from his back. Du Xiaofu activated the real rock golden wings, and together with the azure spirit armor, he seemed to have become a real rock in human form. He flapped his wings and broke through the air, and he instantly pounced in front of Moksha. Moksha's expression changed. That speed made it difficult for him to dodge. He raised his arms, and a pair of black and gold gloves appeared on his hands, like a spiritual armor covering his palms. Whing! The golden gloves let out the sound of wind and thunder. Lightning and demonic aura intertwined and collided with Du Xiaofu. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was covered in the azure spirit armor. Other than his eyes, everything else was covered under the armor. Golden light flowed and he felt as if he was a real rock. The rock golden wings were rock's golden wings, and its aura, and it was truly connected with the flesh, blood, tendons and bones rock, and roxas. The rock golden rock, the rock golden rock rocks, the rock s rock. Pong pong. In the time it takes for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, the two once again exchanged several moves. The sharp claws of the demonic temple's golden dagger axe gloves landed on Du Xiaofu's body and slid off his shoulder. Bang! Du Xiaofu's punch caused the surrounding space to surge and boil. At the same time, it landed on Moksha's chest and completely blasted apart the armor on his chest, revealing a bloody hole. It was so deep that bones could be seen and blood was flowing out. Moksha was knocked back again and spat out a mouthful of blood. Purple electric arcs rippled on his body, emitting crackling sounds. His injuries healed very quickly and his body was immediately restored to perfect condition. However, the ancient armor on his body could not be healed immediately. Fight! Moksha was infuriated. He let out a loud roar as his devil chi filled the sky. It was as if he had activated a special type of martial vein. Suddenly, numerous devil shadows appeared in the void around him. The cries of ghosts and howls of gods could be heard. It was as if they had come out from the devil domain and rushed towards Du Xiaofu. Fight! Du Xiaofu's battle intent surged as he flapped his wings, shattering the demonic shadows one after another. He was like a human-shaped peng as he charged towards Moksha. The two of them continued to attack each other as they fought crazily. G.A.O. The roar of the peng resounded as Du Xiaoyao roared. The huge black golden peng blotted out the sky as blood flowed out of its mouth. It was being suppressed by Du Xiaoyao. It seems like Moksha is no match for him. I didn't expect the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, to be so strong. That golden-winged peng seems to be called Jialo Jueliao. I didn't expect him to be so strong. What kind of nirvana is Du Xiaoyao? It's so terrifying. Such a terrifying battle caused the supreme talents around to discuss animatedly. At this moment, the four people in the battle were all standing at the peak of their generation or even the same realm. They could look down on heroes and defeat opponents of the same level. Such four people made the group of supreme talents sigh. If these four people were in the ancient times, they would definitely be able to compete with the legendary ancient supreme talents. Qi La. In the chaotic void, Moksha's back was slashed by Du Xiaofu's golden peng's wings. The wings cut through the void and cut through the armor. Deep wounds were revealed as blood spurted out. Roar, Du Xiaofu didn't stop. Suddenly, a loud roar came out from his mouth. It was like the cry of a peng piercing through the clouds and splitting rocks. It was also like the cry of a dragon and the cry of a divine elephant. The light in his eyes was like two bolts of purple golden lightning that rushed out, piercing through the void and shooting towards the heavens. Moksha's shoulder was hit by the fist once again. Endless bright electric arcs and mysterious runes erupted. The terrifying Xian Qi fluctuation was like a vast ocean. It was incomparably violent, accompanied by a large amount of blood mist. The ancient armor was shattered, and the demonic aura wreaked havoc as blood dripped down. Demon King, Du Xiaofu is too strong. Moksha was suppressed by Du Xiaofu again and again. Such an unparalleled battle made people dumbfounded. There's still one more. Suddenly, a little girl stepped out from the corner of the crowd. The gaze in her golden eyes was locked onto a strange purple-robed figure. Mo Lingzi, who was watching the battle in shock, suddenly felt that someone was staring at him. He abruptly raised his head and looked over. When he saw a little girl, his gaze was somewhat astonished. Someone from the devil religion? Come up and accept your death. Little Xingxing stepped out and looked at Mo Lingzi. Her little hand slightly waved forward, not putting Mo Lingzi in her eyes. Mo Lingzi had seen little Xingxing in action before. Only his eyes that were exposed on his face were flickering with electric arcs. Can't you hear me? Come up and accept your death. Little Xingxing didn't give up as her little body stood proudly. Humph. Mo Lingzi let out a deep snort that sounded like muffled thunder. In an instant, blazing purple lightning covered his entire body, as if a purple sun was rising. At this moment, countless dazzling lightning runes gushed out. The terrifying might of lightning filled the horizon as countless lightning rays pierced through the space. An aura that made one's soul palpitate suddenly rippled and spread out in this region, and it was still spreading out towards the distance. At the same time, there was billowing demonic chi, accompanied by the cries of ghosts and howls of gods. This martial vein seems to be extremely similar to the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, and Du Yunlong. When Mo Lingzi activated his martial vein, it immediately caused many exclamations. In the crowd, a handsome and resolute middle-aged man looked at Mo Lingzi with purple electric arcs in his eyes as he revealed a surprised expression. Kill! Mo Lingzi charged out with electric arcs rippling around his body. He was powerful and awe-inspiring. 6 divine rings appeared above his head as Nirvana's sovereign power surged. Although Mo Lingzi wasn't as strong as Jialo Juixi and Moksha, he was still in existence at the pinnacle of his generation, enough to sweep through those in the same realm. Boom! A demonic lightning seal gathered. The seal contained billowing demonic chi as if there was a demonic shadow in the sky. Accompanied by the rolling purple lightning, it was like a sun shining in the sky. Countless lightning bolts soared into the sky as the purple lightning filled the sky. This demonic lightning seal crushed towards little Xingxing. A terrifying killing aura instantly caused the sky to rumble. Cries of ghosts and howls of gods resounded as a dense aura of destruction filled the air. This terrifying power caused the supreme talents in the surroundings to start trembling all over. Many people present also gasped for breath for little Xingxing. Chapter 1761. Too weak. Little Xingxing lifted his head. He looked at the frightening lightning devil seal that came crashing down. However, he remained unmoved. Little Xingxing's small body did not pull back in front of everyone's shocked eyes after his words sounded. Instead, he moved forward. He directly traversed the empty space and walked towards the frightening lightning devil seal. Crossing the void, little Xingxing advanced instead of retreating. He didn't put up any defense and allowed the lightning demonic seal to land on his body, causing the surrounding void to explode. Rumble, the space exploded, the runes shattered, and the demonic aura wreaked havoc as the destructive force swept out. Everyone's eyes trembled as they were worried about that tiny figure. Chi! Suddenly, the destructive force of the lightning demonic seal exploded, and that tiny figure appeared before Mo Lingzi without any injuries. His tiny fist was wrapped in faint golden flames as it lightly landed on Mo Lingzi's chest. Bang! 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 But at this instant, it caused a chain reaction. The 6 divine rings above Mo Lingzi's head shattered, and an explosion resounded from his body. His body cracked, and the purple lightning dissipated.
Blood splashed, and his body flew away like a kite with its string cut, unable to withstand a single blow. Gulp. Gulp, when this scene appeared, everyone's hair stood on end as they swallowed their saliva. Rumble. The heavenly sound was endless, as if the heavenly drums were ringing. The heavens and earth trembled, and the firmament trembled. The Giallo Absolute Panacea Mo Peng and Du Xiaoyao Redbone Horse Monkey fiercely collided as runes blossomed and demonic aura filled the sky. Rumble. The entire divine domain began to tremble as cracks began to appear in the sky as a rain of light poured down. The void was filled with ancient runes. They circled around all the foreign living beings, forming a huge binding force that tried to push them out. The divine domain is about to be completely closed. All the sovereigns exclaimed in shock as the divine domain was about to be completely closed. In an ancient canyon, in the Lightning Mountain Range. Aowu, a large number of ancient demonic beasts had gathered. They were all demonic beasts at the beast region realm and above, and they gave off extremely ferocious auras. Thunder Eagle King, Mia Meng King, Mo Tian Shao, Yi Wuming, and the others raised their heads and looked at the rain of light in the sky. The divine domain is about to close. Rumble. On the Chenhuang mainland, the space of the divine domain was trembling. Divine light burst forth, and a rain of light poured down. It was as if something was being activated. An indescribably ancient and vast power engulfed the area, emitting a dazzling light that intimidated the world. In the air, on the mountain peaks, many aged figures and hidden experts appeared. They opened their eyes and waited. The space of the divine dominion is about to close, and they will be pushed out, bringing out countless opportunities and inheritances. The various great powers and sects were all looking forward to it. They were waiting for their disciples to walk out and bring with them great opportunities. Once that little bastard comes out, I'll think of a way to kill him. I'll eliminate him by the roots, even if I have to pay the price. On the misty mountain peak, Li Chenfa, Long Teng, Dong Sunhua, and the others gritted their teeth and transmitted their voices. Legalism, dragons, and the younger generation of the school of vertical and horizontal had almost all died. Many of the older generation experts had also been killed in the divine dominion. These three great families had never been humiliated like this since ancient times. At this moment, Du Xiaofu had hurt their bones and their fortunes. Even they themselves had been severely injured. How could they not be angry and resentful? Be careful of Long Teng, Li Chenfa, Dong Sunhua, and the others. The old lady spoke. She discussed with Bing Mo, Old Man Di Pai, and Old Monster Xing Hun from the school of Yin Yang. The demonic star descends. In the void of the divine dominion, Moksha's body was already drenched in blood. The ancient armor on his body was shattered, and the surrounding demonic chi gathered as if he had summoned many demonic stars. They crushed the void and formed a vast space of demonic stars. The scene was terrifying, and it enveloped Du Xiaofu. Under such terrifying pressure, even an ordinary domain realm cultivator would be directly crushed to death if they were to barge in. Great rock strikes the sky. Du Xiaofu was fearless. The golden wings of the great rock on his back spread out, as if they were soaring into the 9 heavens. Golden light and mysterious runes erupted, shattering the many demonic stars. He crossed the void and in an instant, his finger swept out and filled the bloody hole in Moksha's abdomen. It's too terrifying. No one in the same generation can be a match for the two of them. All the supreme geniuses were shaken. A battle between a devil monarch and a devil king was like two gigantic mountains crushing down on their hearts. All of them were proud and arrogant. They were born to be supreme experts, dragons and phoenixes among men. But now, even powerful existences like them were suffocating from the invisible crushing force. Compared to the demon monarch and the demon king, their innate talents were not worth mentioning. Moksha kept vomiting blood, and his eyes became deeper and darker. Many beast energy shadows gathered around him, and in the midst of roars, they pounced towards Du Xiaofu.
Little Taoist. Du Xiaofu was fearless. He was like a human-shaped great rock, peerless and ferocious. He destroyed all the beast energy and blasted the void. Purple gold lightning surged, and the supreme beast energy of the great rock surged. Since you like beast energy, I'll fulfill your wish. Du Xiaofu shouted. The azure spirit armor and the great rock wings were like a tiger that had grown wings. He was fearless. Roar, as the hand seals formed, Du Xiaofu activated the beast energy. In an instant, in the midst of roars, countless ferocious demonic beast shadows swept out, and rays of light shrouded Moksha. Roar, hundreds of beasts roared, and ferocious birds flapped their wings. Ferocious beasts soared through the sky, and the energy swept out like a vast ocean. Bang, bang, Moksha tried his best to block, but he was still pushed back. He vomited blood again, and even the bones in his body cracked. He was seriously injured. Moksha is no match for him. The Demon King, Du Xiaofu's growth in these few months is too terrifying. Everyone was flabbergasted and dumbstruck. This kind of confrontation caused their blood to boil. Roar! Du Xiaofu flapped his wings, and thunder surged around his body. He was like a great rock descending from the 9 heavens. He opened his mouth and let out a roar. The roar of dragons and the trumpeting of divine elephants rolled out endlessly, shaking the void. This was Du Xiaofu's domineering Tao. The sound waves swept out like a tsunami, and the entire void rumbled. Countless roars echoed in the sky, and it was like a chain of thunder from the 9 heavens that resounded in the world. Amidst this roar, there was an all-pervasive sound wave that entered one's ears, and it transformed into a strange and overbearing martial Tao that caused the profound energy in one's body to be unable to help but seethe uncontrollably. The divine gates were on the verge of exploding, and the soul core was on the verge of exploding. Puff, puff, Moksha, who was caught off guard, was seriously injured again. He coughed out blood continuously, and his powerful body was more and more damaged. Blood flowed everywhere, and his armor was shattered. He looked very miserable. Too weak. This kind of strength isn't even enough to scratch an itch. Little Xingxing said as she looked at Mo Lingzi, who was sent flying. She didn't care about him at all. That kind of terrifying destructive power was completely useless against her. Chi. In the next instant, little Xingxing's figure appeared in the sky, and the space around her seemed to be fluctuating. It seemed slow, but she appeared in front of Mo Lingzi in an instant. She stretched out her little hand, and golden flames rose. Little Xingxing, have mercy. As Du Tingshuan's voice faded, his figure appeared beside little Xingxing, blocking little Xingxing's attack. He looked at Mo Lingzi and asked, "You possess the Du family's martial vein. Who exactly are you?" Chapter 1762. Mo Lingzi revealed his eyes and stared at Du Tingxian. He said in a sinister voice, "You have no right to know. Take off your hood and you'll know." Du Tingshuan's gaze sharpened. Lightning flickered in his eyes, and his aura surged out from his body. Rumble. In the space of the divine dominion, a huge repulsive force surged out and enveloped the entire space. In an instant, everyone was pushed out by the huge restraining force and couldn't help but be pushed out. Du Tingxian was about to make a move when the surrounding space trembled. Under the vast aura, any living being would be affected. Du Xiaofu and Moksha, and Du Xiaoyao and Jialo Juoyao's battle were also directly affected. Du Xiaofu, who was about to continue attacking Moksha, was also affected. His vast aura collapsed and imprisoned everything. All the living beings in the space of the divine dominion were also pushed out and enveloped by the rain of light. A spatial crack appeared in the void. All the figures were enveloped by the rain of light and swept up into the sky. In an instant, figures rose from the entire space of the divine dominion and swept up into the spatial crack. Rumble.
On the Chenhuang mainland, the space of the divine dominion was filled with rain of light. Figures appeared from the exit of the divine dominion as if they had torn the space apart and swept out one after another. They're out. Someone's out. When those figures appeared, countless eyes on the Chenhuang mainland were filled with anticipation. Those were the descendants of the various sects and clans. They were looking forward to them obtaining a huge opportunity to revitalize their sections. They're out. Pay attention to Du Xiaofu. Don't let him escape. On the misty mountain peak, Li Chenfa, Long Teng, Gong Sunhua, and the others had bright eyes, but their faces were cold. Seeing that the supremes of the various sects and clans were about to come out with a huge opportunity, while the younger generation supremes of the three sects and clans had already been wiped out, and even the older generation experts who went in later had lost many of their members. One could imagine how Li Chenfa and the others felt at this moment. Roar. Suddenly, just as those figures appeared, the cries of rocks resounded, and the roars of beasts were like thunder. A huge black demonic rock squeezed out of the space of the god domain. Its huge body covered many creatures in the surroundings and shook them away. A golden red-boned horse monkey soared through the sky, domineering and arrogant. It was actually chasing after the demonic rock. Whoosh! Moksha also flew towards it. After he left the divine domain, he rapidly flew away. Moksha, where are you going? Du Xiaofu didn't give up. He also flew out from the divine domain and chased after Moksha. His master, Xiahou Fenglei, was still in the hands of the devil religion. He had to capture this Moksha. Moksha's face was pale and his aura was very weak. His physical body was even more miserable. Although purple electric arcs flowed and his physical body was constantly recovering, Du Xiaofu's injuries were too severe. Many parts of his body were still bleeding. Originally, Moksha thought that after he advanced by leaps and bounds, Du Xiaofu wouldn't even be able to enter the Supreme Tomb to fight for that huge opportunity. In his heart, he felt that Du Xiaofu was no longer his opponent. However, at this moment, Moksha suddenly understood. Everything was beyond his imagination. Du Xiaofu was already so powerful that he suppressed him. He was no longer his opponent. His immortal Xian body hadn't reached the major completion stage. If this continued, even the immortal Xian body wouldn't be able to protect him. It's Du Xiaoyao. It's a golden-winged rock with monstrous demonic aura. That's Du Xiaofu. He came out and is chasing after someone. In an instant, the Chenhuang mainland was in an uproar. Many eyes suddenly twitched. It's that little bastard who came out. Li Chenfa, Qin Tianshi, Long Teng, Gong Sunhua, and the others suddenly emitted a cold light. In an instant, murderous intent surged. Let's wait first. With Jialo Mola and his group here, we won't be able to take advantage of them. That Du Xiaofu is making his move. Let's wait and see first, Li Chenfa said in a low voice. It's Zhu Qi. He has fused with the demonic bone. Jialo Zhu Qi has turned into a demonic rock. The golden-winged rock experts present looked at the huge demonic rock in the void. Their expressions changed, and rays of golden light rippled. Watch out for Xiaofu. Zhu Qi has already fused with the demonic bone. We can't let him escape. On the old lady's weathered face, golden light surged in her eyes. Her hunched body trembled with a complicated expression. Moksha, you can't escape. In an instant, Du Xiaofu flew out. With his current speed and Moksha's injuries, he immediately blocked Moksha's path. With a wave of his hand, purple-gold electric arcs swept out and swept towards Moksha. This guy is chasing after Moksha. The supreme geniuses who came out from the god domain were all shocked. Even a powerful existence like Imo Sha was being hunted down by Du Xiaofu right now. Everyone couldn't help but be shocked. For the people in the outside world, they might not be too clear about Moksha's strength. However,
to the supreme beings and heavenly geniuses in the divine domain, it was clear that this was a terrifying existence at the peak of the great supreme nirvana realm. It was enough to show disdain for the past and present, and it was difficult to find an opponent in the same generation. Who could compete against it? But now, Moksha was being chased by Du Xiaofu in just a short period of time in the supreme tomb. In an instant, Moksha jumped, but he couldn't avoid Du Xiaofu. His body was engulfed by purple-gold electric arcs, and he staggered forward. Sparks flew out, and his hair stood on end. He was in a very sorry state. "You can't escape!" Du Xiaofu roared. His golden rock wings flapped, and his speed was incomparably fast. A palm imprint blasted out, the Shaoyang imprint. Feeling the terrifying fluctuation behind him, Moksha turned around in shock. The gloves on his hand surged with monstrous demonic qi, and collided with Du Xiaofu's Shaoyang seal. Puff! This collision shook the void. Moksha's body shook violently, and blood spurted out from his mouth again. "You can't escape today." Du Xiaofu looked straight at Moksha, his eyes were like a sea of thunder. "Do you really think you can do anything to me?" "You can't do anything to me." Moksha looked coldly at Du Xiaofu. Demonic qi gushed out from his eyes as he gritted his teeth. When his voice fell, a purple electric arc suddenly spun in his right palm. Boom! Following the appearance of this purple lightning arc, a strange aura suddenly spread throughout the entire void. Almost at the same time, the space in the surroundings began to tremble. In that instant, a feeling of extreme danger began to spread in the air. The purple electric arc suddenly spiraled in the void in front of Moksha. In this short moment, a thick purple thundercloud suddenly surged in this space. Whoosh! Within the purple thundercloud, bright electric arcs filled the air, and a huge aura that made one's heart palpitate swept out. At this moment, all the living beings present felt their hearts palpitating. Purple lightning profound cauldron. Feeling this aura, Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly twitched. The purple lightning profound cauldron in his god's watchtower suddenly buzzed, as if it wanted to break out of his body. Boom! The void trembled. In the void in front of Moksha, purple electric arcs shone brightly, and then turned into a huge three-legged cauldron that was hundreds of meters in size. Mysterious lightning runes spread across it, and it was exactly the same as the purple lightning profound cauldron in Du Xiaofu's god's watchtower. Divine lightning cauldron, that's the divine lightning cauldron. At this moment, countless experts in the surrounding void looked at the three-legged cauldron, and their faces changed. The old figures floating in the void, the powerful existences entrenched on the mountain peaks, suddenly exuded a shocking aura, and their eyes were filled with shock. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.